With Victor Gyökeres likely heading to Arsenal, what next for Manchester United's search for a striker? Rio Ferdinand told talkSPORT who he wants in.
I'd be disappointed to miss out on Gyökeres if we don't get a number 9 in. Yeah. But if we got Osimhen, then I wouldn't be too concerned.
So Victor Osimhen to Man United. Well, our chief football correspondent, Alex Crook, reckons it looks unlikely.
Now that Galatasaray are really trying to push this deal, Napoli have turned down their initial offer, but he's already agreed personal terms. I think his game would translate very well to the Premier League. I'm surprised there's not more Premier League interest, really. Maybe it's his reputation character-wise. Maybe it's that he commands big wages.
Newcastle have agreed a £55 million deal to sign Forest winger Anthony Elanga. Ruben Amorim's side benefit from that too, receiving a 20% sell-on fee. This could help the club finally bag Brahim Mbeumo. Here's talkSPORT's Ben Jacobs.
The good news for Manchester United fans is that the valuation between the clubs is not far off. Manchester United's last bid was £55 million guaranteed, £7.5 million in add-ons. Those add-ons, to my understanding, were not gettable enough in the eyes of Brentford.
Okay. You can grab all the latest transfer news at talksport.com. Tennis now, and Jannik Sinner said he couldn't accept progress to the Wimbledon quarter-finals as a win after Grigor Dimitrov was forced to retire whilst 2 sets up. The Bulgarian fell to the ground saying, my peck, and was reduced to tears before throwing in the towel. Brit Dan Evans told talkSPORT it's a massive loss.
It's the 5th Grand Slam in a row Grigor's had to withdraw from or retire from, I think. Yeah, it's terrible, really, especially, I mean, I know it doesn't make much of a difference, but he was playing such good tennis and he'll take no solace from that. But yeah, it's tough to watch.
And Chelsea could make the final of the Club World Cup tonight with victory against Brazilian side Fluminense. Tickets for the game are going for less than a tenner, a massive drop from almost 350 quid earlier this week. But travelling fans for the PSG and Real Madrid semi-final are paying almost £150. There's more on this at talksport.com.
This is Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs with you through until 4 here on talkSPORT. Where this afternoon, Andy, please tell us what's coming up.
Probably a lot of sneezing due to my hay fever. But coming up over the next 3 hours, Troy Deeney joins us from...
Genie.
Not Genie. Troy Deeney joins us. You see how that happened?
We give you 3 wishes.
He joins us from New York. No, really, he does. To preview Chelsea versus Fluminense.
Yeah, don't put your house on it. But I mean, that's the concept we're going with.
Yeah. West Indies cricket stars, one of my heroes, Chris Gayle, and Amari Banks plays their new single. And boxer Nile Brown tells us about the role City and England's Phil Foden played in his career.
We're also after the songs you channel during sport, and we'll look at Manchester United's decision to say nothing to Amazon's All or Nothing documentary.
Very good.
Yeah.
There's all this, plus the official towel supplier to Wimbledon tells us just how many get nicked each year, and we'll talk Lions and Lionesses ahead of their big games tomorrow.
That's right. It is, what is the time? It is 5 minutes past 1. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Andy. Yeah, and if you know anything about Andy at all, you've been listening for many years, you'll know he's a sudden violent sneezer. There's no build-up, there's no achoo. He's sneezed in people's faces unintentionally, the great and the good of sport. Because
I'm looking forward to sneezing all over Chris Gayle.
Yeah, he can suddenly be sitting there and suddenly he's, wah! And then it's too late. There's
I'm sure I'm not the only. Georgia, our assistant producer, is also suffering. I'm sure a lot of the listeners are suffering with hay fever. I think
She's got this weird theory, our young assistant producer, Georgia, that if you keep saying the word pineapple, 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 you won't sneeze.
Yeah.
The only problem is you tried it and sneezed halfway through the word pineapple. We've also realised that potentially, as Quinny would say, we've been making some kind of millennial Fox Paz.
Yeah.
Because she was telling us earlier on
it was in the paper. I read it this morning. The paper.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, right, really?
Yeah.
The thumbs up emoji, which are much beloved by people of a certain age, i.e. our age, because to us it's a sign of something positive, is seen by the kids as passive aggressive. And if she ever gets anything with a thumbs up in it, she'll kick off with one of her friends.
I know, she doesn't like it. And
so, I had no idea.
I tried to say to her, look, it comes from it's an approval. It means I really approve of what you're doing. Well done.
Yeah.
That's what thumbs up means.
I know. Well,
she said, no, it's very, very aggressive.
Oh, yeah. It's just start windmilling.
Here's one for the teenagers. Norman Vaughan would have been cancelled.
Wow.
Sorry, I beg your pardon. I do beg your pardon.
That is one for the teenagers. Look him up, kids.
He used to walk around doing his stuff.
Doing a lot of that.
Swinging.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't quite know where that needs. Have you made any kind of mistakes like that with the kids? It's easy done, isn't it?
Oh, it's very easy.
She said, I'd much prefer a heart emoji. But if you say to me, I don't know, Chris Gayle is confirmed as a guest, and I put a heart. Okay, it's great, but I'm not, I don't love it. I'm glad he's on. But, I thought that was also, I thought that's the sort of thing that get HR on your doorstep.
Mad, really.
I don't know. We don't know what we're doing, Andy. It's a minefield, mate. It's a minefield.
I felt sorry for the tennis player Grigor Dimitrov.
Oh, yeah, that was a shame, wasn't it?
He was injured 2 sets up against Yannick Sinner. And that's the 5th Grand Slam in a row that he's had to withdraw from injury. He makes Emma Raducanu look like Gareth Barry.
That's very harsh.
No, it's true.
Very harsh.
It's a bit much, isn't it? 5 Grand Slams.
Poor lad.
And the Duke of Kent, I think he must be quite upset. He's been sidelined. He never goes now. They punt him off to various things. No, he's been replaced by the Duchess of Gloucester.
Oh, right, okay.
She attended
both great pubs. I mean, I prefer the Duke of Kent. It's the food's better. Yeah, do a good hot pot in there.
Did you read about this butcher who's called Tom Holland?
Oh, yeah.
And he basically gets party of invites meant for his actor namesake.
Oh, yeah.
Tom24 calls his business the Real Tom Holland Butchers to avoid confusion with the Spider-Man star 29.
Well, he hasn't got a butcher's, has he?
Know, he said, as
far as I know, unless he's got Dom working there.
He said, I have plenty of voicemails from people asking me to come to their parties. A few say, you're taller than I expected. But he's not a butcher, is he, Tom Holland, the actor? Why would you even think that?
Imagine that. It'd be great if he did, if he was a butcher, and he kind of ran that as a sideline. That's the sort of thing that Daniel Day-Lewis did. Didn't he go into cobbling?
Really?
Yeah, he decided I'm not going to do acting anymore. I'm going to go into cobbling.
Was he in my left? He wasn't in my left foot, was he?
I think he runs a Timpson's in...
only one shoe.
Yeah, he runs a Timpson's in Wandsworth High Street now. Does all your keys.
Key cutting.
Trophies. Imagine you could go in there. Hang on, didn't I see you in Gangs of New York? You might have done, but I'm doing Blakey's now predominantly. And he got into artisan cobbling, not like, not putting, not resoling your shoes. They don't stand that.
No.
But I know what we're talking about. Anyway, you are listening to talkSPORT.
Talk cobblers.
Well, that's about right.
That's about right.
If there was ever a subtitle for this show, that is definitely it. You play a bit of music now. Do you want a bit of music?
Yes.
It'll be familiar. Sing along if you know the words. That, of course, the Cranberries and Zombie. And Vion Mulder, who is the South African batsman who declared,
tremendous,
rather than overtaking Brian Lara's incredible record of 401 against England, because he felt it was only right and proper that the greats keep the records, and maybe at the back of his mind secretly thinking, would it really count against Zimbabwe?
That's what I said to John. John Norman told me about it yesterday. I said, well, it doesn't count against Zimbabwe, does it?
But I think what a great honourable thing to do.
Very honourable.
We'll run that past his old friends Chris Gayle and Amari Banks a little bit later
Very
on.
noble.
But in the midst of the interview he did with Sean Pollock after the game yesterday, we asked him about that. He also asked him, because he scored a lot of runs, what do you do when you're building an innings? What are the sort of things that are going through your mind? And he said, I try and fixate on a song And I just keep humming that song, thinking about that song, singing that song in my head, sometimes just under my breath. And he said, in this innings, it was Zombie by the Cranberries. So that's why I play it.
Zach Crawley's McFly slip.
Perfect.
Sorry.
I just wonder,
Honestly.
you've got it in for him.
Oh, for goodness sake, somebody described him, not me, some judge, as the luckiest cricketer in England. He is. He needs to go away and sort that technique
Well, Jack,
out.
if you're listening this afternoon, hope you're feeling good about yourself.
No, it's only fair.
So we were interested, do you do that? I mean, in sport, do you have I just wonder if there's a tune that goes through your head.
Yeah.
When you're just, I don't know, stepping up for a pen, building an innings. Maybe it's not just a pros thing. Let us know. Maybe we'll play the best of them. Or maybe some of the stars, what plays in their
Nicholas
head.
Jackson just does Simply Red songs.
Why?
They get sent off all the time.
We get Simply Red cards. Yeah,
Simply Red cards.
Talksport.com, text
Anyway,
1089, tweet TSH and J 03717 223344. Yeah.
I'm nominating Vian Mulder for a Laureus Sports Award.
That's nice. Yeah.
He'll get one for sporting achievements.
Yes, I think.
Or just
So in.
one.
Beautiful.
Thank
So
you
anyway,
very
prepare for violent sneezing. Apparently,
yeah.
saying pineapple over and over is for hiccups. So I might send a thumbs up to George on that basis if she got that wrong.
Now, Brendan McCullum has been defending England spinner Shoaib Bashir by citing Rishabh Pant. He said Rishabh Pant made a comment that he felt that Shoaib has improved out of sight since the last time he played him. No wonder he does. He keeps hitting him for 6. I bet he loves his bowling. Yeah, great. Not a great testament, is it, really? Tremendous.
Come on, Andy. You know, we're only a couple of days away potentially from a fantastic England performance and a win. So
No, I already know what's going to happen.
You've gone 4-1, have you?
No, they're going to put. Stokes going to win the toss, and this time where he should have put them in because it's best to bat last at Lords. He's going to bat.
Right.
We'll be out cheaply. They'll be out cheaply. We'll make quite a few runs, and they'll chase a big total down. That's what happens.
Okay. Well, it's nothing like optimism, is there, going into a big Test match?
Finally.
You're right.
Yeah, no. We mentioned last week our old mate John Fingleton, who passed away.
Fingers, the
Fingers.
MCC member, the man in the XXXL blazer you always saw in the pavilion.
That's right. Well, guess what they're doing, Lords?
I saw it, yeah.
Isn't it a lovely thing that they're going to be basically laying out his blazer on his seat for the first morning? When
you couldn't miss him. He sat right by the aisle.
Yeah.
He was a kind of larger-than-life character. Beard, glasses, and in the full MCC gear. Socks, underpants, hat, the lot.
Those seats, you have to queue for those seats. You can't reserve them.
Right.
But Fingers used to have a little man, he called him, he'd pay to queue up in the morning.
Really?
About 6 o'clock in the morning. Well, that's how he always got the seat.
Marvellous. Anyway, so if you wonder why this is a jacket on a chair in the pavilion when people are walking up and down, it's our old mate Fingers. Anyway, Nathan Aspinall joins us. He's got a bit William Tell. After a fashion.
Incredible.
He's playing tonight. He's playing in Hyde Park. It's not bad. Stevie Wonder was there at the weekend. Nathan Aspinall's there tonight. But he's not alone. He'll be telling. And there are some stars from the world of pop music there as well. And he'll be playing darts with them. We could see an Aspinall-Mers final.
Yeah.
We'll find out. He joins us in a moment to chat about that and more. Tash Dowie joins us, former Liverpool and England striker. We'll look ahead and we'll talk about the Spanish, who are looking ominously good.
Scored some lovely goals.
6 last night, some brilliant goals. They are very good. So we'll get a take on that and England tomorrow. Chris Gayle and Amari Banks joining us. Amari Banks, since packing up cricket about 10, 12 years ago, has a music career and does very well out of it.
It's great. His new album's tremendous.
He's teamed up with Chris Gayle. We're going to play a bit of their video and he'll play a bit of the song and chat to him about that Vian Mulder declaration and other matters from the world of cricket and a bit of baseball. That's all to come. But first, Nathan Aspinall kicks us off from the world of darts. We're here with Tool Station, delivering as little as 30 minutes with Fast Track. Next stop, Tool Station.
plays that villain role very well now. It's crying out for a little bit more attention. It comes with a lot of crazy people. I took it personally and it kind of made me rebel a bit more. To be honest, I don't really care anymore. I'm never going to change.
Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. Of course, that is the walk-on music for our next guest. He's in action this evening in Hyde Park, and he's also got a bit William Tell in recent days on social media. It is Dart Supremo Nathan Aspinall. Good afternoon, Nathan.
Good afternoon. How are you, lads? You okay?
Yeah, we're not so bad, Nathan. Yeah, let's first talk about, before we talk about Hyde Park tonight, you got together, didn't you, with a social media star who thought it would be a good idea for you to try and hit an apple in his mouth at the distance you'd normally throw at the hockey. Wow.
Yes, I should have done a disclaimer, I think, beforehand. A few people trying to copy it, but we teamed up with Dean Alex. He's sponsored by Fat Lads Competitions, who sponsor me, and God, I was so nervous, by the way.
So was he, because he was assuming the position.
Why didn't he put it on the top of his head like William Tell? Wouldn't that have been the right thing to do?
Yeah.
Well, we did that first, and it was too easy, so we made it harder.
Right.
Okay.
So yeah, it was good.
He did lose his bottle a couple of times, Nathan, didn't he? He stood there and he thought, and then suddenly he was making it worse because he kept moving just as you were about to throw.
Yeah, well, he kept, obviously, I think I would do the same. He kept trying to cover his face up to protect his face with his hands, but then he was covering the apple up.
Yeah.
Unless he wanted it for his forearm, I had to keep stopping. But yeah, it was, obviously, it was all done in, a bit of fun for social media content, but please don't try it.
No, okay, don't try that at home, kids.
Absolutely don't try
I am a trained professional about
yes.
it.
Yeah, you are. You know what you're doing.
Were there any outtakes where you sort of landed one in his forehead or anything, or was that?
No, thank God, that was the first take, and I think if he missed the first time, I don't think he would have allowed a second.
No. So this is interesting. This is a PDC event, isn't it? Hyde Park Darts. And you're going to be there. Fallon Sherrick's there. Luke and the two Lukes. And Ollie Mers, Roman Kemp, Dion Dublin and Joe Swash.
Yeah. It's something I never expected I'd be doing on a Tuesday night, put it that way. But, we're looking forward to it. I think it's showing where darts is at the moment. Last week I was in Madison Square Gardens. I'm playing in Hyde Park tonight. It's just amazing places. So, yeah, looking forward to it. I'm pairing up with Dion Dublin, so hopefully his will to win comes through, and we have a decent night, and we beat the best of them.
So is that going to be the format? You double up with a celeb, and then you kind of play against.
So the pros are doing a head-to-head first. So I'm playing Littler first game, Humphrey's playing Fallon, then two winners, and then at the end of the night it's a pair. So I think I'm with Dion. I think Humphreys is with Ollie Mers, and I'm not sure about the other two, but. It's going to be a good night. 5,000 apparently is there, so it's going to be good. And outside darts, that's a first for me.
The weather's decent. You might get slightly sweaty hands, I guess.
Yeah, I'm hoping I'll get sunburn on the back of my neck as well.
I mean, open air darts. I mean, it's quite. You don't often get that, do you? Is that? Have you ever played that before?
That's unusual.
Same first time I've ever played darts outside.
Wow.
The PDC did a tournament in Dubai a few years ago. But I was rubbish back then, so I didn't get invited. I don't think any of us are playing outside, to be honest with you. So it's definitely going to be a different feel, but it's all about having a bit of fun and giving the crowd a good night.
What have you got to allow for the wind or anything like that? I mean, it's not going to be much wind tonight. It's going to be very still. hot evening.
But the slight, you see what we're like in venues. There's the slightest bit of wind in arenas. The players all moan about it. So
really?
we're going to have to be in our best behaviour tonight because it's a bit of fun. But we have to do a wind check before we throw our darts.
Oh yeah. And so you mentioned Madison Square Garden, didn't you? I mean, that is pretty amazing, isn't it? To be playing a couple of that's a real star-studded venue to play any sport.
It is, yeah. It's my third time playing there this year, and every year it gets bigger and bigger. Sell out on Saturday night, just an amazing atmosphere, and I made it all the way to the final as well. Could have had it at the end, but I'll let Luke Humphries have that one. But no, just iconic venue, and just showing you the growth of darts is getting bigger and bigger every single year.
Is there any off season now for you? Because it's getting like football, isn't it? Playing all year round.
No. It's only an off season if you pull out of events. So
Okay.
I've took the decision to not attend Australia and New Zealand this year. Because I'm going to end up divorced if I don't see my family.
Yes, okay, fair enough.
I suppose, is it a matter of just kind of prioritising the tournaments? Obviously, you'd like to be playing all the time, and people on the circuit would like you to, but you're probably going to be a better player with a break, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely. And I think, obviously, the lads that have played in the Premier League, we've just come off the back of 4 straight months being away. Because, obviously, when the Premier League's not on, you kind of have a bit more time off. But then the World Series comes, so like you got your New York, Copenhagen. I come back from Poland yesterday. We had a World Series out there, so it's just relentless. But end of the day, it's a good position to be in. The fact that the broadcasters and the promoters want you in these events, so you got to take the positives. But yeah, sometimes you do need to give yourself a bit of a break and see your family and give your arm a day off or two.
If you do get a bit hot tonight, I'm sure Luke Humphries will be on hand to cool you off with a bottle of water like he did in the States the other day.
Yeah, I've seen that go. Yeah, he's a good lad. I put a little bit on him. The camera didn't get that. I put a little bit on him, and then he ended up pouring half a bottle over my head.
Okay.
Oh well.
Yeah, typical Leeds fan.
But,
went over the top, didn't he? Leeds Man United. Yeah. So, how are you feeling? I mean, we saw the pictures of the players going back. You're a big Manchester United fan. Could have even been their keeper back in the day. But
I'll probably do a better job than him, to be fair.
Yeah. But are you feeling a bit more optimistic? They've brought some new players in, haven't they?
They brought one new player.
Yeah, but a good one.
I've got to say one.
Yeah, and they're looking at Mbuemo could happen soon.
I think what I keep thinking is it can't be as bad as last year because we're getting relegated if it is. So
it won't be. It definitely won't be.
No, I don't think it will. I think, again, I keep saying it, I really like the manager. I really do. I think he can do good things with the club, but we definitely need to get some new players, get rid of the players that don't want to be there, and fingers crossed we can turn the club around. And yeah, it's been what, 15 years now of absolute dross, and yeah, we need the old United back.
Yeah. And would you have liked to have seen a kind of all or nothing documentary? They've decided not to do it. We're going to talk about it later. The Amazon documentary behind the scenes. They've decided they don't want the cameras there. But would you like to have seen that?
I didn't even know about that.
Yeah.
But I'm knowing people that I've spoke to in the past about United, I'm hardly surprised that they're not doing it, shall we say? Because I've heard awful things behind the scenes that are going on at the club. So, I would have liked to see it, to actually see what's going on and give all the fans that are paying the money week in, week out for the last 15 years a bit of insight into what's actually going on behind the scenes. But
I think
it's obviously a reason why they're not doing it.
Yeah,
I think
probably best not.
I think the manager wasn't keen. Maybe next season, maybe another season. Yeah, it probably wasn't the year to do it.
When we finish top half of the season, we'll do it then.
Well, enjoy tonight. All the best,
cheers,
Nathan.
pal,
Thanks
thank
a lot. Take care.
Cheers. Take care, lads. Bye.
Nathan Aspinall. If you're in London, I think there are some tickets left, sort of general sale tickets left. So if you want to go along to the Hyde Park Darts Championship, go and check it out online. And I think there's links there to ticketing. Yeah, have a good time. Should be a nice night weather-wise. Chris Gayle and Amari Banks joining us since packing up cricket. Back in 2012, Amari has concentrated on his music career. His dad was a muso and a singer. And, of course, I think Chris has been on before with his sort of love of music and talked about it with us. So we'll do a bit of cricket and play their new single. That's coming up very shortly here on talkSPORT.
It looks like Newcastle have bagged their first summer signing. Please welcome Anthony Elanga from Nottingham Forest.
Newcastle delighted to get this over the line because they were struggling for those right-sided players. We know they looked at Antoine Semenyo. The fee in total is £55 million, 52 million guaranteed, plus 3 million in add-ons.
Our transfer reporter Ben Jacobs speaking there. Well, Manchester United will receive a 20% sell-on clause with that. We're hearing Elanga will be going to St James's Park to undergo a medical in the next 48 hours. For all the latest transfer news, head to talkSPORT.com. To SW19 now, and Yannick Sinner survived a huge scare at Wimbledon after his opponent Grigor Dimitrov was forced to retire whilst 2 sets up. The Bulgarian collapsed to the floor in pain after hitting a volley, clutching his pectoral muscle. While he seemed to laugh about it at first to the world number 1, Dimitrov was soon brought to tears, realising he'd have to retire from a 5th successive Grand Slam. Sinner says it's a horrible way for play to end.
You know, seeing him in this position, it's honestly, you know, if there would be a chance, you know, that he could play, you know, the next round, you know, he would deserve.
And Chelsea can reach the final of the Club World Cup tonight with a victory against Brazilian side Fluminense. The teams meet at the MetLife Stadium, but Enzo Maresca will be without Liam Delap and Levi Colwell, who are suspended. More on this on our website at talksport.com.
Well, there we are. That is the new single from Amari Banks, and a little cameo from Chris Gayle on there.
They're living in that's really
in the wind. His teammates, of course, and Amari has had a music career over the last few years, and I think both the guys join us now. Good afternoon, fellas.
Hey, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Hope you can hear me loud and clear.
Yeah, we got you, Amari. Good afternoon, Chris.
Good afternoon.
So, how did this all come about, Amari?
Well, I would say, I mean, Chris is been a friend of mine from the times we were playing under 19s cricket, and he's always been a guy who's been kind of the life of the party, and somebody who's not only an entertainer on the cricket field but off the cricket field as well. So when I decided to make my journey into music, Chris has always been somebody who supported me, whether with my times on the field, and even when I went to Jamaica, he's got a sports bar that's called Triple Century, and he was happy to have me play by his venue. So we've stayed in touch, we've stayed friends from our time in sports and now in music. I thought, what a better way to kind of bring the kind of energy and the synergy together, but to do a song together, because Chris I saw was doing his stuff in music, the dancehall thing. And he's a good friend, so the energy of the sports and the music, I thought would be a great collaboration.
Yeah. I spent a bit of time listening to your album, African Identity, last night. It's a really brilliant album. It's got great stuff on it. And I was thinking, did you used to sing in the dressing room? How did you start with this?
Well, I mean, music was something that was always around. My dad is actually a huge reggae act from the 70s. He's more moved on into now just doing stuff here in Angola, but he's someone in the Eastern Caribbean who's one of the kind of trendsetters in reggae music of the Eastern Caribbean. So I grew up around music my entire life, and I would always take my guitar and tour. It was always something that could take my mind away from the game when I was playing. So natural progression for me was always to come back to music.
And Chris, looking at the video, Amari's there in Times Square and looks like he's having the time of his life. And you're nowhere to be seen. We can hear you. So didn't you get the invite to Times Square?
You know what? I'm actually in a bit of Times Square right now as we speak. I'm actually doing a bit of shopping for Wimbledon, trying to get my outfit. Do you know what I'm saying?
Cool.
Because I got to go and live it up. I got to go and live it up and got to go and represent. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's what the song is all about.
Yeah. Did you boys get together in the studio, Chris, or did you sort of send yours down the line the way things work these days?
Yeah, so Amari sent the track to me. I have a studio as well back home at my house, you know, and then I contact my engineer, Kamar Flavor, and then we actually work on the track. And Omar told us what he wants, you know, what kind of direction he's looking to head. And then, you know, we put the lyrics together and we sent it back to Amari and he was happy. So I'm glad, you know, actually combine it together now, and that's when we come out with that's when we get the track, you know, living it up. So it's just really good.
Yeah, is it doing well in West Indies at the moment? I imagine he's big summer hit, Amari, at the moment.
Yeah, literally the song was released a couple of weeks ago. I just came from the US and tour was over there touring, playing some shows for the past month. I just got back on Monday. And everybody was really excited to hear the song. Of course, in the Caribbean, Chris Gayle is somebody who people always look out for. So, of course, us doing a song together was going to make a big splash. So, what I'm really excited to do is myself and Chris to actually, this is a visualizer of what we saw, me shooting it in Times Square. But we're really looking forward to doing an official music video for the song at some point in time when I get back to Jamaica with Chris. So even when we do that together, it's going to be even of a bigger splash. So we're really enjoying it. As I said before, the song is about 2 weeks old. We're just getting it out there. The music video, which I released, this visualizer, I should say, that I released 3 days ago, has already got close to 70,000 views. So people are loving that already. And summer hasn't begun as yet. So I'm just really excited to continue to push the word out about this collaboration between myself and Chris.
Yeah, excellent. Well, people can find it, I'm sure, wherever they find their music, Spotify, etc. Chris, you're probably aware of this story about Vian Mulder of South Africa, who was in a position playing Zimbabwe to break Brian Lara's record. He spoke to Sean Pollock, who was on commentary duty afterwards, and he said this. Have a listen to this. We'll get your reaction.
Brian Lara is a legend, let's be real. He got 401 or whatever it was against England, and for someone of that stature to keep that record is pretty special. I think if I get the chance again, I'd probably do the same thing. I know speaking to Shooks, he kind of said to me as well, like, listen, let the legends keep the really big scores. And, you know, you never know what's my fate or whatever you want to call it, what's destined for me. But I think Brian Lara keeping that record is exactly the way it should be.
That's interesting, Chris. Isn't it? I'm wondering if you would have done the same thing.
What a generous kid, huh?
Yeah.
Amazing. You did score a triple hundred, didn't you? I'm just looking it up.
I have 2 triple centuries.
Yeah.
Two triple. And if I could get a chance to get 400, I would go on to get 400 runs.
Yeah, well, that's fair enough for you to do
that. Doesn't happen often, and you don't know when you're actually going to get to another triple century again. So
yeah.
Anytime you get a chance like that, you try and make the best out of it. But he was so generous and said he wanted the record to stay with Brian Lara. I mean, maybe he panicked. He didn't know what to do in that situation because, come on, you're on 367. Automatically, you got to go. You have to take a chance at the record. You know.
Yeah.
How do you become? If you want to be a legend, how are you going to become a legend?
Yeah.
Records come with being a legend as well. You know what I'm saying? So, I think it was a little error on his side not to try to go and get it. We don't know if he would have gone and get it or not, but he declared on 367 and he said what he had to say. But listen, man, that's a once in a lifetime opportunity to get 400 runs in a test match. Come on, youngster. You blunder big time, mate.
I'm just wondering,
sentiment.
With respect to Zimbabwe, maybe he was thinking, would it be quite the same doing it against Zimbabwe as it would be doing it against England? Maybe he felt a bit guilty.
Nah. Opponents doesn't matter. It's the same cricket, test cricket.
Yeah.
You know, same cricket, test cricket. Sometimes you can't even get one run against a team like a Zimbabwe if you want to put it that way. Sometimes, so it doesn't matter the opponents. If you get 100 against any team, that's a test century. You get a double, triple, 400, that's a test. That's test cricket. That's ultimate game. That's the ultimate game. So, like I said, he panicked. and he blundered straight up.
You had an amazing career because you had this Test career and then, of course, franchise cricket, IPL cricket, and sort of redefining white ball batting. I was thinking last night, I used to love watching you bat, and I used to get annoyed when you got out, except against England, of course. Then I was quite happy. But but in an IPL game, I think a lot of people would feel this. Great, Chris is batting, and if he made runs, it was fabulous. And if not, you were like,
you should have done a WG Grace, Chris, and not walked and said, "Nobody's coming to watch you bowl, mate. They've come here to watch me bat."
That's true.
Yeah. I get that so many times. People say, "Chris Gayle, when you're out, I'll turn off my TV," because
it's true.
Without you, there's no entertainment.
You still play a bit, don't you? Do a bit of charity, but you're kind of away from franchise cricket. Is that you done, Chris? Now again.
I'm away from. I'm actually playing a tournament on the July 18th. Actually, here in the UK, it's a Legend League, in the World Champion League.
Yeah.
So you have the West Indies team, England team, India, Pakistan, South Africa, Australia.
That's good.
So I'm captain in the West Indies team. Owen Morgan captain the England team. Yuvraj Singh captain the India team. A.B. de Villiers is actually back out of retirement playing as well. He's a captain of the South Africa team. So yeah, we'll still play some cricket. We'll still play cricket, man.
Brilliant. And Amari, do you ever pull on the whites? Do you ever play a bit of cricket these days?
Well, I don't play much cricket, but if Cramps gives me a call to play, he's the captain, I might consider it.
Hey, mate, get those shoulders warmed up, mate.
But I'm really focused on my music. I mean, I've been busy touring and performing and writing songs and producing songs. So a lot of my time has been just, as I say, performing, writing, and just enjoying what I do musically. So I enjoy it. I love music. I've been around it my entire life. But I still watch a lot of cricket. I watch the IPL. I watch everything what the guys are doing with the West Indies team, and etc. So I'm just enjoying it all.
And finally, Chris, what are you making of Bazball? What are you making of always, doesn't matter about the toss, we just put them in and we chase. What have you been making of England? And have you been keeping up with what's been going on?
That type of cricket is exciting for Test cricket, It's really good to see, teams getting 500 and still winning a Test match. And that was a great picture by India to actually come back from 1-0 down. But I like the excitement. I like how the guys approach the game as well, It's nothing new still, because that's the way I've been playing. That's how West Indies been playing cricket. Anyway, we used to smash it all over the fucking Test cricket. Doesn't matter the opponents. But this generation now, what's happening? I'm loving it. I'm actually loving it. So it won't be that boring of a Test match. You can get 400 within a day. Of a Test match as well. So it's just different.
Brilliant.
Well, look,
the game changes.
Absolutely. Lovely to talk to you both. And we wish you well with the single. Enjoy the tournament, Chris, that's coming up. And best of luck with everything you're doing musically, Amari. Thanks for your time today.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, we are. We'll play it with a bit more, shall we? That's Amari Banks and Chris Gayle. We'll play a bit more of their single, Living It Up. We're going to talk a bit of football next with Tash Dowie, head of England's Lionesses in action tomorrow. We're here with Tool Station. Get fast track delivery in as little as 30 minutes on the Tool Station app. Next stop, Tool Station.
Yep, we living it up. Don't give a what. Girl, we are such. Drinks in we cup, hold on to your shawty. Raise your glass in the air if you know that you're stress free. Yes, we living it up. Live it up, live it up. And
He plays that villain role very well now. It's crying out for a little bit more attention. It comes with a lot of crazy people. I took it personally and it kind of made me rebel a bit more. To be honest, I don't really care anymore. I'm never going to change.
I'm having headphone issues today.
I see, yes. I've noticed.
It's a bit of a nightmare. But anyway, we'll get there in the end, I'm sure. Are we going to check in with Lisa O'Sullivan? Yes, we are. Fantastic.
And suddenly here we are at the quarterfinals of Wimbledon.
Oh, really?
Sorry. Yep. The sun's back, covering centre court with a blanket of comfortable warmth, creating the perfect viewing experience. Britain's Cam Norrie will be back here in a couple of hours to attempt dethroning the champion Carlos Alcaraz. We'll have more on that later. But currently playing for a place in the semi-finals is the big-hitting women's top seed Aryna Sabalenka, who has dropped serve to Lara Siegemund of Germany, the queen of mind games, and who takes about 10 minutes to get the ball in play. She's got the most interesting service motion. Once she actually starts, it takes her another 5 seconds to actually consider throwing the ball in the air, and I think that might wind Sabalenka up a little bit. Over on court number one, Taylor Fritz, businesslike against Karen Hashinoff. He has taken the first set after half an hour.
Than's very much, Lisa. We'll keep in touch. We got stuff for Lisa.
Oh,
and
yes, we have.
We were talking to her yesterday about towels,
Yes,
about
that's
the
right.
nicking or the pilfering of towels by a number of the players, and they see it as... I mean, Novak Djokovic used to take an extra suitcase to Wimbledon so he could take the towel. So it's seen as a sort of legitimate...
It's a bit like that, Novak. He used to take the net, he'd roll that up in his suitcase.
He'd have the lot.
He'd have the lot.
That's it.
Umpire's chair, he'd be demolishing
So
it.
we're going to speak to the people that supply the towels and have been doing for decades, and they obviously love it because the orders get bigger all the time.
It's fantastic.
They
Lovely
always
towel.
sell out in the club shop. It's the biggest seller in the club shop. The sort of...
Well, it's a lovely towel. It's a fluffy towel.
Oh, is it really?
Oh,
Have you got one?
No, but you can see it's plumptious. It's not like a...
Plumptious?
Not a thin towel with no nap on it, or whatever they call it. Towel.
Are you in the towel business?
I'm not really, no.
Okay.
Towel expert.
Anyway, let's move on to football.
Towel Ben Haim.
Yes, yeah, there we are. Come on, let's have your towel-based footballers. No, please. All 371. I mean, if you want, talksport.com, text 81089, tweet TSH&J.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
So England are in action tomorrow night. They didn't watch Spain last night. They would have watched it through the cracks of their fingers because they are looking pretty frightening at the moment. And England have got to win, really. I mean, if the Netherlands win, that'll be 2 out of 2 for them, and that will be England done.
It'll be such a shame because that's it. And it'll affect the tournament. Let's hope England really can.
Well, it affect the tournament from our point of view, not if you're Spanish.
No, not if you're Spanish.
You little Englanders in the towel business. Anyway, let's hear from Hannah Hampton. She was chatting to talkSPORT's Courtney Sweetman-Kirk ahead of that huge game with the Netherlands tomorrow live on talkSPORT, and she asked her how it feels being the England number one at a major tournament.
I don't think there's more pressure. I don't want to put any more pressure on it. I want to have the same mindset when I come away with England, whether I was a starter or non-starter. I think just being able to put on the badge every single day is a proud moment. And yeah, I think being sat here right now, I am proud of myself. There was times when I didn't want to keep playing. There was times when I thought I'd had enough. But I just want to be able to sit here and let people know that even when things get tough and times get hard, it's all about how much you want it. I knew what I wanted to go achieve. I knew what I wanted to strive for, and being sat here right now is helping me get to where I want to be.
There we are, Hannah Hampton chatting to Courtney Sweetman-Kirk. Let's have a chat with former Liverpool and England striker, part of our top team, bringing you the Women's Euros, Tash Dowie. Hi, Tash.
Hi. Hi guys, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. I thought Hannah Hampton had a decent game. She was busy, wasn't she, the other night? Would have given her a lot of confidence. Actually saw a lot of the ball, and she was really important to keeping the scoreline respectable at times.
Yeah, probably a bit too busy for her liking, to be honest, but I think in moments she made some big saves, and I think when you look at the 2 goals, there's not much more she could have done. Every goalie wants to keep a clean sheet, and I think probably the team in general didn't protect her enough.
That second goal especially, I mean, sometimes it's the look of a goal that doesn't help.
With the Baltimore
it was a
goal,
touch
yeah.
Keystone Cops, the way it was just sort of pinging around our box and we're diving in with tackles.
Well, the final touch that set it up for Baltimore was unfortunate.
It's a bit unfortunate, but it doesn't look great from a team of England's experience, does it?
No, and I think that was an issue, to be honest. I think Lucy Bronze at times, wanted to get forward, but probably chose the wrong times to do that. And I think in that goal in particular, she had bombed forward, struggled to then recover. Give her credit, she did work hard to get back, but then her and Leah Williamson didn't do enough. It was a 2v1. Lucy's dived in. Leah, in my opinion, hasn't done enough. She put her leg out, and Baltimore's gone round them way too easy. And it's a great finish, don't get me wrong, on her weaker foot as well. But in a 2v1 situation with those two, Bronze and Williamson, the amount of experience they have, Lucy knows Baltimore, it's her teammate. You've just got to keep her down the line. So I think overall, the defending as a team from the front to the back just wasn't good enough.
What about, I mean, we hear a lot about male players overplaying. Do you think this is happening in the women's game too? Because this tournament came at a funny time. There was a sort of quite a long gap from the end of the season and then this tournament starting. It was, it's
not affected Spain, is it?
No, it hasn't affected Spain. That's true. But you just wonder, really.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's something in the women's game probably over the last 4 to 5 years that it's become more Champions League. I don't think English clubs were used to kind of making those tournaments further on, especially when I was playing. We weren't playing that much football. On top of that, the international football. Clubs like Chelsea as well for the last few years have been involved in every single cup competition right till the end. So for these players now, it's a lot of football. They're lucky if they get 1 to 2 weeks off. And in the men's game, they're used to that. They've been doing that for many a years. But in the women's, that hasn't been the case. And also, the squad depth, it's not there yet still in the women's game. So for a lot of these players, they're playing 90 minutes week in, week out for their club. The same at international. People are talking about ACLs and injuries coming into women's game. This has been happening for over 10 years since I was playing in the WSL. But bigger names now, it's been happening to bigger names. So it's definitely that something needs to get looked at. That we spoke about Millie Bright pulling herself out as well because mentally, physically, she didn't feel ready enough. And we don't want that. We want every single player to come into a major tournament feeling fresh and feeling excited and ready to go.
With respect to Wales, you do expect France to beat them tomorrow, which means in England have really got no choice, have they? They've got to go out and get the 3 points. Otherwise, that's it.
Well, no, they could draw.
Well, they could draw.
They could draw, beat Wales, and then they'd rely on France beating Holland.
But they don't want to be in.
That's not ideal.
The reigning champions shouldn't be looking for snookers, should they? They just got to go out and keep it in their own hands.
No. Yeah, and I think when I look at Stanway saying, look, enough talking now, we want to just play the game, I think they have to obviously improve massively. When I look at the Dutch team, the thing that I'm a bit worried about is the bite that the Dutch have, the aggressiveness. Jill Roord, Pelova, Van der Donk, all these players are quite aggressive players, Groningen, whereas I felt like we really lacked that the other day. We didn't have that fight. I think our midfield lost the battle. So a fit Georgia Stanway, she's that type of player. But in my opinion, I would love to see Serena Wiegman go 4-4-2, put Beaver Jones up front with Russo. I thought she was isolated the other day. The Dutch don't have the pace that the French do as well, so you don't have to worry about that pace in behind or the counter-attack. So I would love to see her more positive, bring in a Grace Clinton as well into that midfield to give that little bit of bite, maybe a Chloe Kelly. She has that aggression. But yeah, we need to be 100% better, otherwise we will be going home because the Dutch will be full of confidence.
Maybe Lauren James has got another game in her legs. I mean, she had that chance earlier on that, I don't know, I mean, she could easily have put that away. She's proved that in the past. I mean, she's going to be key. Agyemang as well. There's been a lot of talk about her getting a chance. She's a bit of a wild card.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Lauren James, actually, considering she'd been out for a long time, looked the sharpest in the England team, fitness-wise as well, tracking back, doing her defensive duties. So I see her starting again in this game, especially because it is a must-win. You know, maybe if it wasn't a must-win, you'd maybe bring her on, and I would like to see her finish a game off and help England, you know, finish strong. But I would start her again from the off. I think she was really our only real threat in the game v France. And Ajiman as well as a wild card. Would I start her? Maybe not. I would go with more of a Beaver Jones, a bit more experienced. I think she was really unlucky not to get on the other day. But you know, you've got a plan B now with Ajiman. If things aren't going right, you can be a bit more direct. Her presence physically, you know, the French couldn't handle, and I think that'll be the same come Wednesday.
Spain did concede a couple of goals yesterday, and Belgium created chances. But I mean, say going forward,
is brilliant.
Yeah, and Esther's been fantastic as well. You just sense that even if you might score a couple against them, but they'll outscore you every time.
Yeah, they are. They're phenomenal. There's definitely weaknesses there, though. I think the centre-half pairing are quite slow. So I think if you can exploit that, I think actually set pieces-wise as well. You saw the Belgium set piece. If you've got a little bit of height and you put it in there, they don't like that physical side. So I think against Spain, you have to get up against them. You have to show that physical side. If you let them get into their rhythm and let them dominate the ball, then it's going to be a long 90 minutes. But I think every team will be looking at those 2 goals that Belgium scored and thinking, OK, maybe this Spain team isn't as perfect as everyone thinks, but the football and the goals that they scored, it's a pleasure to watch, to be honest.
All of it's a pleasure. I watched the second half of Italy-Portugal last night. Lit up by a great goal by Girelli. It was an incredible, would have been any keeper in any league.
Wonder goal.
And then Portugal came storming back when you thought Italy would close it out. It was a really interesting
They were close to going out the tournament. So, yeah, it's been some really good games. So, Tash, we'll hopefully catch up with you tomorrow ahead of the game. Thanks very much.
Yes, take care, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. It's Tash Dowie there, formerly of England and Liverpool. And I did actually ask Prince, the talking dog from That's Life,
did you?
Who his favourite player was in the Spanish side. And he said, Esther.
That is a really old reference.
Yeah, he did. And it's great he's still going, considering he was on telly in about 1976. Well, I'll see your Norman Vaughan. I'll raise you Prince, the talking dog from That's
Prince
Life.
is on YouTube. I bet
of course
if you
he
looked
is.
him up, you'll find him.
Of course he is. And I'm not taking any nonsense.
Talking dog.
The dog could talk. Everybody's got their own theories, and I've got mine. That game live tomorrow, of course. England versus the Netherlands on talkSPORT. That's the early kickoff tomorrow.
Yeah.
On talkSPORT 2, I think we're going to bring you Wales against France.
Okay.
All the Wales and England games in the group stage and all the latter stages. The towel-based footballers are coming in. Shami Abraham. Is that a towel or chamois leather?
Not really.
Soaks up the pressure, he says. That's not bad.
Well, it does have a soaking ability.
Towel Andre Flo, says Richard in Worcester Park. Flannel, whatever you say it, mate, it doesn't work. Flannel Messi.
Flannel, no, it's like something out of House of Games.
Doesn't work, does it?
It doesn't work.
Danny Bartel kind of works. Ian the Baggy. Nice, thank you for that. There we go. Kieran Dreyer says Alfie the London cabbie. Just some of the towel-based footballers. John Terry Towel.
That's good.
Thank you for all of these. I quite like Shami Abraham, actually. Well done, whoever came up with that one. Didn't put Corduroy Keane. Have you ever dried yourself, mate, with corduroy? Joe in Manchester, when he has a bath, he dries himself with a length of corduroy.
That's not going to work.
That doesn't work. Robbie Towler, Stephen. Oh, we better go. Blimey, look at the time.
That's good.
More of this nonsense after 2.
With Victor Gyökeres likely heading to Arsenal, what next for Manchester United's search for a striker? Rio Ferdinand told talkSPORT who he wants in.
I'd be disappointed to miss out on Gyökeres if we don't get a number 9 in. But if we got Osimhen, then I wouldn't be too concerned.
So Victor Osimhen to Man United. Well, our chief football correspondent, Alex Crook, reckons it looks unlikely.
Now that Galatasaray are really trying to push this deal. Napoli have turned down their initial offer, but he's already agreed personal terms. I think his game would translate very well to the Premier League. I'm surprised there's not more Premier League interest, really. Maybe it's his reputation character-wise. Maybe it's that he commands big wages.
Newcastle have agreed a £55 million deal to sign Forest winger Anthony Elanga. Ruben Amorim's side benefit from that too, receiving a 20% sell-on fee. This could help the club finally bag Brahim Mbeumo. Here's talkSPORT's Ben Jacobs.
The good news for Manchester United fans is that the valuation between the clubs is not far off. Manchester United's last bid was £55 million guaranteed, £7.5 million in add-ons. Those add-ons, to my understanding, were not gettable enough in the eyes of Brentford.
Okay. You can grab all the latest transfer news at talksport.com. Tennis now, and Jannik Sinner said he couldn't accept progress to the Wimbledon quarter-finals as a win after Grigor Dimitrov was forced to retire whilst 2 sets up. The Bulgarian fell to the ground saying, my peck, and was reduced to tears before throwing in the towel. Brit Dan Evans told talkSPORT it's a massive loss.
It's the 5th Grand Slam in a row Grigor's had to withdraw from or retire from, I think. Yeah, it's terrible, really, especially, I mean, I know it doesn't make much of a difference, but he was playing such good tennis and he'll take no solace from that. But yeah, it's tough to watch.
And Chelsea could make the final of the Club World Cup tonight with victory against Brazilian side Fluminense. Tickets for the game are going for less than a tenner, a massive drop from almost 350 quid earlier this week. But travelling fans for the PSG and Real Madrid semi-final are paying almost £150. There's more on this at talksport.com.
Good afternoon, Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. We're in the second hour of the show. We'll be joined by Nile Brown. He's an upcoming pro boxer, came from the world of martial arts, Muay Thai. And his pro career is on an upward trajectory. He had a win up in Manchester, I believe, at the weekend. I watched the end of that fight, stoppage. And he's big mates with Phil Foden. They're fishing buddies, old buddies, and Phil's helped him out a bit with his training camps and on the road to becoming a pro. So we'll catch up with Niall a bit later. Lions in action tomorrow morning, live on talkSPORT. Of course, exclusively live on the talkSPORT network. We're bringing you the Lions tour down under. It's Brumbies tomorrow, a big game, and with a test side taking shape.
It should be a fascinating game.
And Andrew McKenna's going to build up to that. And Ben Dobson, author of a new book, Beefy, Bodicea, Brixton, Bunting, and How Cricket Helped Change the Nation, taking us back to the heady days of 1981. We'll be chatting to him later, and we'll have a transfer chat, bit of Manchester United. And as we said, we're going to be talking to the people that make the towels for Wimbledon, and hundreds of them disappear on a daily basis, where the players take them home and give them out to their family in bulk. And even Lisa O'Sullivan nicked one, apparently, although she didn't say that, but we read between the lines. I mean, look, it was lying there, Lisa. No one claimed it. So, I mean, finders keepers, wasn't it?
Outrageous slur on my good character. Let me just hide my accreditation before someone comes along with a pair of scissors.
But you have got one. Have you got one of the traditional sort of... because they bring out a new one every year, don't they? A fresh one, but then there's the traditional coloured one, yeah.
Yeah, it's the traditional purple and green,
yeah.
Which is the colour of the championships. And we are very lucky in the media to be given a media gift gift
nice.
by the club, and that is sitting waiting for me to go and collect it from the top of the hill. I haven't had a chance to get up there yet, so you never know, someone might have nicked it by the time I get there.
That's a good chance. Yeah, possibly Novak Djokovic putting into his spare suitcase that he brings with him. So
yeah, well, have you noticed how many he has on his chair? Because he doesn't actually use the ones they give him. So the chairs always have one of each now. They used to have different ones. They used to be men's and ladies, but that all got rid of it because it didn't need to be men's and ladies. So they've swapped it now. But Djokovic always requests white towels, and Nick Kyrgios used to do this as well. I think they're softer and they're more absorbent. They've been washed more, but Novak Djokovic's kind of seating area just looks this sea of white because he gets about 6 of those, and the other ones disappear straight into his bag. So I don't even think he uses them. I have to say, we've had a little bit of towel-related incident in the match between Marina Sabalenka and Laura Siegemund. When they each have a purple or a green box which is allocated to them. It's like, you're going to be purple and you're going to be green, and at each corner of the court there are these 2 places to put their towels, and Arina Sabalenka wandered up and used the wrong towel, and then she stood there and went, I used the wrong towel, I'm going to put it here. So she kind of popped it over near a photographer, and I noticed it's disappeared. So
yes,
not casting any aspersions. Not casting any aspersions. But it could have been mind games, because Laura Siegemund's very good at mind games, so maybe she did it on purpose. I don't know.
I've got one for you.
Yes, go on, Andy.
Obviously, they sell a lot of strawberries at Wimbledon.
Really? Breaking news here.
Outselling strawberries this year is antihistamine.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know if you know about this, Lisa, but apparently there's a plague of mosquitoes.
They didn't keep any for you, did they, Andy?
Yeah. It's hay fever and mosquitoes.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's not a place to come if hay fever is a problem for you, because one thing that is always absolutely spectacular here is the amount of flowers and floral decorations around the areas. So, you'd struggle a bit, I think, if you get hay fever. But yeah, I have heard people who have been up on the hill or been on the roof of the broadcast centre have been saying they've been a bit bitey this year. But I think it's the warm weather is bringing in bigger, bitier mosquitoes, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It was tough watching, wasn't it, Dimitrov last night after pull out, playing so well. You just wonder, though, this is not the first time.
The fifth time.
So, I mean, he's either got to have a long break for the game or find a way of putting his body back together, because, I mean, he can't carry on like this, can he, really?
It was utter heartbreak, because he was playing so brilliantly against Jannik Sinner. Jannik Sinner was heading out. Jannik Sinner was a set from going, the world number 1, who himself had got to the 4th round in I think it was 5 hours and 18 minutes or something. He played 3 matches in the time it took him to lose to Carlos Alcaraz in Paris in that incredible final of the French Open. So he'd managed to get through 3 sets, hadn't dropped a serve, hadn't dropped a set, and then met Grigor Dimitrov playing absolutely lights out tennis, the number 19 seed. So he has been playing well enough to actually stay up in the top 20 in the world. But as you said, Andy, the last 5 tournaments, 5 Grand Slams, he's been forced to retire injured, and he has been absolutely scuppered by injuries all the way through his career. He originally was nicknamed Baby Fed because of the style of tennis he played was very similar to Roger Federer, and he's 5 years younger than Roger Federer, might be 6. Beautiful one-handed backhand, and an absolute joy to watch. Did like to party quite a lot earlier in his career, and has picked up these injuries all the way along. There's been a little niggle here, a little niggle there, but has still managed to remain in the top 20. So to watch him perhaps, score the biggest victory in his life, finally get through to a Grand Slam semi-final with a potential chance of, going even deeper with the kind of tennis he was playing, just to watch that happen. And it was so innocuous. I mean, I was getting ready to talk on air, and I was looking down at my notes, and I looked up and he was on the ground, and I thought, what happened? It was such a flip in 2 seconds. He's ready to serve, throws the ball in the air, rips his pectoral muscle, can't raise his arm above his shoulder level. Game over. Absolutely heartbreaking.
Such a shame. We've got Cam Norrie on later on against Alcaraz. What sort of time? Will that be the sort of big telly tea time game, will it?
Well, it'll follow directly after this match that we're watching at the minute between Arina Sabalenka and Laura Siegemund, because it's quarterfinals day, so we've got 2 matches on centre court, 2 matches on number 1 court, and Yeah, I don't know. You see, this one could go 3 sets, and it's kind of all the indication of that, because if you do watch Laura Siegemund serve, you can see why her matches take significantly longer than everyone else. She's very, what's the word that I can use on air? Clever.
Right.
At using the shot clock.
Yeah,
the shot clock. So when you... Yeah, exactly. When you serve, the shot clock counts down. You've got 25 seconds on your first serve to begin your service action. Now, once she does that, the clock's counting right down to sort of 2 or 3, and then she starts to move her arm, but stops for another 5 seconds, and it's kind of like she's waiting for a green light to go, and then it kind of like, and there we go. So she does that, and of course on the second serve there is no shot clock. So she is going to be using all of that. She's a psychology graduate. She's very big into studying psychology. She's going to be using all of that to try and get Aryna Sabalenka frustrated. We've seen indications of that already. So her plan is not only that, but to slice and dice, because she can't out-hit the Belarusian, who has the biggest game on tour.
And is she making all the noise in the background?
That's what I'm going to say.
Is that her?
That's Sabalenka, isn't
That's
it?
her.
Oh, exactly right.
That's her. No. Actually, saying that, Siegemund's making all that noise on her serve,
Right. Oh, right.
and it's usually Sabalenka. So it's kind of, I don't know if she's bringing that to centre court as an extra little bit of, I don't know, cream cheese icing on the carrot muffins. You know, it's. It's very intriguing, this one, because it's not necessarily about how the balls are being played. It's the really, really long time we're waiting. There we go, the ball's in the air and she puts it in.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's getting quite noisy on both sides. That's Sabalenka.
Thanks, Lisa.
And that's out.
We'll speak to you later. Thanks, Lisa.
Pleasure.
We'll never beat Larcher de Brito.
No, Michelle Larcher de Brito.
I think she's on the system.
We may have her somewhere. I mean, that was the loudest. It was recorded as the loudest shouts from any woman tennis player, I think, in the history of the game. We're talking about the Wimbledon towels later on with the people that supply them, and you're coming up with towel-based footballers. Dries Mertens work if you just say Dries Mertens, really. Connell, it kind of works though.
Written down, it's a good one.
Roberto Mancini. I mean, do you dry yourself with a mankini? That's a bit weird, Connell, that is. Marouane Flanellini, says Steve from Wincham.
Stretch.
A couple of, and Will from the Pompey fan, he did that. Microfiber Good Johnson, says Jed. Serviette Viltord. Again, do you dry yourself with a serviette, Sam, the Charlton fan? That's a weird business.
You can do if you haven't got a towel.
Yeah. Anyway, we're going to talk boxing. Keep those coming. Talksport.com. Talksport.com. Text 81089. Tweet to TSH&J. It's talksport.com/H&J. And we look forward to getting a few more of those this afternoon. But Nile Brown, Box had a good win at the weekend. We're going to be chatting to him in a few moments' time, talking about his friendship with City and England's Phil Foden, which has been a great help to him on his way up through the pro ranks. That's coming up shortly. We're here with Toolstation. Download the Toolstation app for fast track delivery on thousands of products. Next stop, Toolstation.
plays that villain role very well now. That's crying out for a little bit more attention. It comes with a lot of crazy people. I took it personally and it kind of made me rebel a bit more. To be honest, I don't really care anymore. I'm never going to change.
Good afternoon, Paul Hawksbee, Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. Now on Saturday week, 19th of July, talkSPORT brings you live commentary of the undisputed world heavyweight title fight between Alexander Usyk and Daniel Dubois. They go again. The first one ended controversially from Daniel's point of view. It's at Wembley Stadium, and let's give you a flavour of it now.
Round 5. Good right hand, but that was low. And you can see that it has hurt Usyk because he is now onto his backside.
That weren't that low. That was a body shot. I'm telling you, I looked at that. That was on the waistline. Them shorts were high.
We got conned out of that. VAR, if you can have it in football, bring it in boxing.
Dubois hits him with a tremendous right-hand counter.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Dubois giving Big Benny Miller a Brooklyn beat down against the ropes. Alexander Usyk finds the answer.
Tyson Fury was out on his feet.
Oh my God, that left hand.
London is like my home.
Prepare for the greatest victory in boxing.
A wonderful night for Ukraine.
From Ukraine, Alexander Usyk.
British heavyweight Dave Allen will be part of our expert boxing team. Keep you up to date with all the action from the start of fight week right through to the final bell. That's Usyk Dubois 2 on talkSPORT and the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel. In action last weekend, forcing his opponent to quit on his stall, Victor Ionescu was the man up against Nile Brown. I watched the tail end of the fight. Impressive stoppage. Interesting backstories. Big mates with Phil Foden of City in England. Phil's played a little role in him switching from one sport to another and becoming pro. He joins us now. Hi, Niall.
Hi guys, thanks for having me.
Yeah, pleasure. Yeah, I thought it was a nice story. This your old childhood mates, aren't you? Go fishing together.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we just grew up like where we grew up is like a local pond or reservoir, you call it. So yeah, growing up fishing, playing footy, it's normal stuff as kids.
What's your football like? Could you have been a contender? No.
No, I'm no good to be honest. When I did play, I was a defender, but yeah, they just put me at the back, chase people, take them out. That's about it. That's as far as my skills go.
I mean, you probably knew from a very young age when you were just little nippers that he was something special as a footballer.
Yeah. Everybody used to say it, like, he had a ball with him, no matter where he was. Like, we could be on the pond fishing and he'd have a football by his side. No matter where he went, he'd have a football. So you knew if you got on his team, you'd be winning.
That's brilliant. So you came through martial arts. You're in Muay Thai, and you were kind of very good at that. Were you sort of number one in this country at one point?
Yeah. So, when I was about 15, 16, that's when I started Muay Thai. Pretty random, to be honest. I just kind of went to one, like a 3-week trial at the gym. So ended up taking up Thai boxing, and then becoming UK number one after maybe 7-8 years.
So you're not tempted by MMA because it's a kind of mix of what you do in both.
I never have, to be honest. Like, I know all the lads from Manchester have sparred with them and stuff, but it's something that's never tempted me. I'd rather stay on my feet.
Yeah. So how did the switch to boxing sort of come about?
I just feel like you mentioned, I got to a position where I was UK number one, and I was kind of expecting something big to happen, and it never did. And for the same amount of time, effort, like you're taking punishment, especially in Thai boxing, you get elbowed, kicked, as well as punched. I feel like the rewards weren't there, so making the switch over to boxing, I'd be able to provide for myself, provide for my family at the same level I was in Muay Thai.
And Phil's played a little bit of a part. He's kind of helped you out on sponsorship and sorted out and helped you on some of your camps. Is that right?
Yeah. It's not nothing we talk about. Like, it's only recently I've told people about it, but yeah, he's been supporting me and looking after me because he sees like the hard work and dedication I put into it, and he kind of understands it because he's got to do the same thing in his sport. Like, we're missing out on birthdays, holidays, going out on the weekends and stuff because we've got training. So yeah, he's just been helping me out.
And you had that. I caught the end of the fight. Watched back to the end of the fight. You had the guy down twice, didn't you? And then that moment where you had him rocking. You went into his corner, and they decided they'd seen enough. They didn't want their boy to take any more punishment.
Yeah. I think that was the end of the fourth. There's the door. End of the fourth round. He kind of knew that it was only a matter of time before he got badly hurt. So I think the corner made the decision to pull him.
Yeah. And so, what's the kind of game plan for you? Well, I mean, there are some good fights out there. We'll be talking about Hamza Shiraz a little bit later on, but yeah, there are some good fights out there, aren't there, in your weight division?
Yeah, it's a stats weight division, super middleweight division. So I'm kind of at the point in my career now where I want to be fighting for titles and picking up those titles, British level, European level, and eventually world level.
And so, who do you train with?
I train with Pat Barrett at Colliers in Austin Gym. So like alongside Lyndon Alpha, himself has recently moved gym, but yeah, some really good names in the gym. And
that was a short night's work. So when would you hope to be back in the ring?
I think they're saying September, October time. Sooner the better, really, for me. I'm going to have a little break for a week or so after my last fight because I only fought 4 weeks ago as well. So let my body rest a bit, and then I'm back on it, ready for some sort of title fight.
Yeah, fantastic.
Lovely. Well, best of luck with that.
And you get along to City now and again to watch Phil in action?
Yeah, every now and then. Like, to be honest with you, I'm not a massive football fan, but I support my mate, and he gets us down to the games and stuff, which is good to see him do what he's doing because from where we come from, it's a bit surreal seeing you and mate play in front of thousands and thousands of people.
What's he like as a boxer now? You ever got him in the ring, sparring, got the pads on?
Yeah, years ago, he came to the Thai boxing gym and did a bit. That was when he went to England with the under-17s, just before that. But since then, he's been fully focused on just footy. So
he can't risk it, can he? Can't have you sort of lamping him one and missing an England game.
Wayne Rooney used to do it.
Give him a smack as well.
Yeah. Wayne Rooney did used to do it, didn't he? Yeah, he didn't. Him and Phil Bardsley. Well, I think they were playing actually. I think it was only a bit of a laugh.
Good,
nice one. Yeah. Look, good to talk to you. And we wish you all the best. Best of luck with your career.
Thank you for having me on. Nice one.
Pleasure. Take care.
Bye.
Now you heard Michael Buffer there in that little trail that we did for the fight. He's introducing the players tonight at the game, the Chelsea Fluminense.
Oh really?
Yeah.
So we're doing it. Let's get ready to rumble.
Basically, and he's going to introduce each player. It's typical Infantino nonsense. But there we go.
That thing of each individual player coming out. As I said, if you're a player having a bad time and the crowd have turned on you, that would never work in the Premier League, would it? Because they would still let you know the idea. It's not a great idea. Yeah. Anyway, sticking with boxing,
he hasn't scored for 3 months.
Oh yeah,
here he is.
He's been absolutely pants most of the season. Couldn't hit a cow's backside with a banjo. And it was
we should give Michael the realistic one.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, a walking red card. Nicholas Jackson. Yeah, it would be good, wouldn't it?
If it's on target, it's a goal. Robert Sanchez.
Yeah, he doesn't speak like that, does he? He wouldn't get much voice. Let's get ready to rumble. What's why Pasquale doesn't do a lot of boxing now?
That's true, really. That is actually how he speaks. He puts on that other voice.
You really, We've had him. Was that okay? That'd be great, wouldn't he? He does all that and he gets back and says, "Oh, I couldn't have kept that up any longer." Would be great, wouldn't it? Yeah.
It's very unlikely, though.
Yeah.
Yes,
it's a great pleasure to meet. Oh, great pleasure to meet you too. You don't really talk. No, I don't really talk like that. That's how I normally talk. Edgar Berlanga and Hamza Shiraz has been a guest in this studio. As Hamza, he's a good lad. And they headline a stacked card from New York with Shakur Stevenson defending his WBC lightweight title against William Zepeda. That's this Sunday, live only on DAZN. You can buy now at dazn.com/boxing. So still to come, more Tau footballers almost certainly. Andrew McKenna's going to join us. We'll talk Lions. They're back in action tomorrow against the Brumbies, 11 o'clock, live on talkSPORT 2, build up from 10. Macca, your commentator. And alongside Ben Kane, we'll be chatting with Macca very shortly, building up to yet another warm-up game with the tour team starting to take shape. That's all to come.
Boxing update on talkSPORT with DAZN, the global home of boxing. Buy now at dazn.com/boxing.
It looks like Newcastle have bagged their first summer signing. Please welcome Anthony Elanga from Nottingham Forest.
Newcastle delighted to get this over the line because they were struggling for those right-sided players. We know they looked at Antoine Semenyo. The fee in total is £55 million, 52 million guaranteed, plus 3 million in add-ons.
Our transfer reporter Ben Jacobs speaking there. Well, Manchester United will receive a 20% sell-on clause with that. We're hearing Elanga will be going to St James's Park to undergo a medical in the next 48 hours. For all the latest transfer news, head to talksport.com. To SW19 now, and Yannick Sinner survived a huge scare at Wimbledon after his opponent Grigor Dimitrov was forced to retire whilst 2 sets up. The Bulgarian collapsed to the floor in pain after hitting a volley, clutching his pectoral muscle. While he seemed to laugh about it at first to the world number one, Dimitrov was soon brought to tears, realising he'd have to retire from a 5th successive Grand Slam. Sinner says it's a horrible way for play to end.
You know, seeing him in this position, it's honestly, you know, if there would be a chance, you know, that he could play, you know, the next round, you know, he would deserve.
And Chelsea can reach the final of the Club World Cup tonight with a victory against Brazilian side Fluminense. The teams meet at the MetLife Stadium, but Enzo Maresca will be without Liam Delap and Levi Colwell, who are suspended. More on this on our website at talksport.com.
Just before we chat to Macca about the Lions tomorrow, let's check in once again with Lisa O'Sullivan at Wimbledon.
Big question, has the women's world number one, Aryna Sabalenka's head gone?
Ooh.
She's facing set point against Lara Siegemund, who's serving 40-love. 5-4 in this first set, and you can hear the centre court crowd not entirely sure who they want to cheer. So, yeah, and Siegemund really does seem to be rattling Sabalenka, who is facing set point. Taylor Fritz is in control against Karen Khachanov, 6-3, 6-4, but the Russian is love 3 in the third.
Thanks very much, Lisa.
I wonder what he eats when he goes to Belgium.
Whoa.
Taylor Fritz.
Sorry. I have no idea. Does he have mayonnaise on it?
I have no idea.
Yeah. Now,
Anyway,
8 years ago
go on.
today, the British and Irish Lions drew the series in New Zealand with the last gasp, Owen Farrell. Whatever happened to him? Kick.
The 2017 British and Irish Lions tour to New Zealand.
New Zealand is the most difficult place to play. Simple as.
It is. It's definitely going to be the toughest challenge I've had as a captain.
Gets the ball to Sean O'Brien for one of the greatest tries ever scored.
The Lions go down at Eden Park. The All Blacks lead the series 1-0.
We get 3 goes. So you stuff the first one up, you get another one. And it's the same for both teams, isn't it?
The Lions win the second test. We're all going to Eden Park next weekend. Series still alive.
You can see a glint in the players' eyes today in training. They know they can create history on the weekend, and that's the challenge.
Only one British and Irish Lions side have won a series in New Zealand in 1971.
We trust in one another and trust in the abilities of each other. Do our preparation well this week and come out with the job done on weekend.
We have full time and we have a drawn test series. Who'd have thought
it? You can hear the sense of anticlimax in Macca's voice there as he commentated on that. He joins us now, be on commentary duty with Ben Kay tomorrow. Hi, Macca.
Good morning, good afternoon even, boys. Yeah,
Yes.
that was the one thing I never prepped for, was what happens if it's a draw. And you know what? I probably should have done, but yeah, it caught me and bit me on the bum, and that really did surprise me.
When we were chatting to Andy Farrell and Mara Toji at the squad launch, we kind of floated the idea of a golden point, possibly. I mean, has there been any more talk about that?
Paul, between you and me, it was never a goer. You remember a couple of weeks ago, there was all that talk about the tour document and how the Aussie sides had to put up quality sides because it was in the tour document. It was in the tour document. Sorry, it was never in the tour document about extra time if the third test was a draw. So it was never happening. But it was a great little PR stunt from the Aussies, wasn't it?
So it would be a draw again if we found ourselves in the same situation. They would just share it.
Yes, it would. The Tom Richards Trophy would indeed be shared, yeah.
Why
Now,
do they
what
not...
Ben Calvert-Lewin, the CEO, said to me recently was, well, as we hold the trophy, is it a bit like the Ryder Cup? Therefore, we get to keep it. But he was sort of saying that slightly tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah, that would be great. It would be great drama, a golden point, though, wouldn't it? I mean, it would be fantastic. Would he sort of lining up to get a kick? And we've got we've got good memories of doing something similar in Australia, haven't we? Really?
Well, yeah. The only thing I have about that is, what if the first test was a draw? You know, why is a draw in the third game so massively different to the first?
Yeah.
So that was kind of just why I look, we've watched enough cricket, all of us. Sometimes a draw after 5 days of a test match is a phenomenal result. I have no issues with draws in sport.
I would have been quite welcome one on the weekend.
Yeah. No, that is very true.
Anyway.
Yeah, Zach Crawley sends his regards, AJ.
I thought he might, yeah.
Yes, I'm sure he does. So,
only joking.
Yes, of course, he says he was only joking. So, how are we feeling about tomorrow then against the Brumbies?
So, yeah, pretty good. This is what looks a very close test match side from the British and Irish Lions, but we've seen it in the past that players have played in the final warm-up game and forced their way into contention. There's still a couple of combinations which need proving, but it's a strong-looking side, and it needs to be because the Brumbies are the strongest of the Aussie outfits. They don't have all of their players, that has to be stated, but it was the only game that the Lions lost on the the 2013 tour was the game against the Brumbies, although they did have a bit of a mix and match side, so much so that Shane Williams was pulled out of the talkSPORT commentary box to play in it. So that kind of gives you an idea of where we were with that game. But I would take the Lions to win, particularly with the strength of the side that they've got out.
I'm just wondering, wouldn't it be, I'm looking for innovations today. We can't have the golden point. I quite like the idea of not just having to name replacements for the test matches. Can't we just have everybody on the bench and just bring on whoever we like?
Well, just, like British Bulldog, last man standing.
Well, you can't just endlessly, but you can only bring so many on. But I'm just saying, let them pick from the entire squad.
I suppose it's the rugby equivalent of a timeless test, isn't it?
Yeah.
What that do? Just keep going until there's no one else left to bring on.
No,
like it isn't attritional enough already.
Yeah,
well, exactly.
I don't mean bring them all on. You know what I mean? They're there to pick from. You can all the boys in the squad for any apparent moment that you forget.
Name three of your squad. Your jokers. You can double it up to two if you bring your joker on.
Okay, I see you're being facetious. You don't think it's a go. I can completely understand that.
Paul, as the old phrase goes, there's no such thing as a bad idea.
No.
Except in this situation.
That is very true.
I'm still waiting for the clock to be stopped on the scrums in rugby union. I think it would improve the game so much. It drives me mad. Nothing worse. I've had this bugbear for ages. Nothing worse.
Actually, most of the pros we've had
really exciting. And
most of the pros we've had in over the years generally agree with you.
The last 3 minutes of a test match, and they're setting the scrum reset. You think, oh, come on, this is just it's killing the climax of the game.
Generally speaking, in international rugby, the ball is in play for about 33 minutes out of an 80-minute game.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and that's high. You watch games in the top 14 in France, it can be under 30 minutes. We do need to do something. I'll give you another classic example. When a team gets a player sin-binned, when the referee says time back on, then the clock starts again. Well, it could be 15 or 20 seconds before the team kicks the ball into touch for the resulting line out. By the time all the players have got there, you could have a minute of your player advantage just disappeared.
Yeah.
And literally nothing's happened. So, I'm with you on this one, Andy. Timekeeping is one of the major bugbears.
The Aussies have lost their first choice fly half, we understand, Macca.
Yes. This is, think of the biggest thing you can think of, Simon Jordan's salary, for instance, and then double it. This is how big this is. Noah Lolosio was playing last weekend for the Aussies in their only warm-up game against Fiji. He got absolutely clattered, perfectly legally, but his head seemed to get whiplashed backwards, make contact with the turf. He was stretchered off. We were told after the game that he was going to be held in on hospital overnight just to be checked out. Following day, he's released. He's absolutely fine. He's then had further tests and gone back in and has needed neck surgery. So they've not said it, but I cannot see how he features in this series, and therefore they've got a big problem. So in the squad currently are Tom Liner.
Wow, any relation?
Michael's son,
wow.
One of Michael's sons, 22 years of age, only played 3 times, all of them off the bench for Australia. Tane Edmed, 24 years of age, whose one and only appearance was against Ireland, 3 minutes as a replacement. Harry McLaughlin-Phillips, 21 years of age, never played for the first team. And Ben Donaldson, 26 years of age, who has played 17 times, but his last start was against Argentina last September, when they got absolutely pumped down in South America, conceding 67 points. So he's not the most popular of options with the Aussie public. So therefore, there's already talk going around. Could they bring back a couple of the old guard? One of those would be James O'Connor, 63 Aussie caps, last of those August 2022.
You can say 63.
Well, no, he's not far off. He's 35 in rugby terms. That's not far off 63. He's actually just signed for the Leicester Tigers to come and play next season. And the other option is Bernard Foley, another 35-year-old whose last appearance was in November of 2022. By the way, Bernard Foley, I always think I can hear Bumble pronouncing him. It sounds like he's a window cleaner from Accrington.
Yeah.
Bernard Foley.
Yeah, it does. If Tom Liner plays, we can give a bit back to their PA announcer, because I'm just reading about him. He grew up in England and lived in London, so he's basically English. His older brother Louis played for England schools and now plays for the Italian team, but he said he always felt an affinity with Australia. Oh, well, that's all right when they have a go at us.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So Michael still lives and works in London now. So Tom was part of the Harlequins setup for a while, as was Louis before he went off to Italy. So Michael played out in Italy for a while, married an Italian lady. So that's the Italian connection for them. But yeah, Tom went back to try and make it with the Aussie national side, but that is a massive problem. Noah Lolosio, because you're either bringing back someone who is pretty old and hasn't played in 3 years, or someone you're basically taking a big punt, and in a really important position. That is a serious problem for them. And as I say, they are elected to only have one warm-up game before the Test series, and that was last weekend. So you're now relying totally on training.
We'll hear from you tomorrow, Macca. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Macca.
All the best, boys.
Your commentator alongside World Cup winner and former Lion Ben Kay in Canberra for the Brumbies versus the British and Irish Lions. All the build-up from 10, kick-off in 11, live and exclusive on talkSPORT 2. So, we're going to chat to Ben Dobson, author, telling us about his new book. We're going to go take you back to the heady days of 1981. Cricket, politics, everything seemed to music, everything seemed to dovetail. And Ben will tell us more about that in a few moments' time. We're here with Toolstation. Download the Toolstation app for fast-track delivery on thousands of products. Next stop, Toolstation.
He plays that villain role very well now. That's crying out for a little bit more attention. It comes with a lot of crazy people. I took it personally and it kind of made me rebel a bit more. To be honest, I don't really care anymore. I'm never going to change.
It's Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs here on Talk Sport. And we're going to talk cricket now, or kind of, because Ben Dobson has written about cricket before, but he's now written something called Something Changed. Beefy Bodicea, Brixton Bunting, and how cricket, he ran out of bees, and how cricket helped change the nation.
Well, Bricket wouldn't have worked.
No,
would
Bricket wouldn't have worked.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, Bricket. Good afternoon, Ben.
Good afternoon.
So it's kind of worth saying it's the sort of looking at the year from a kind of completely sort of cultural perspective, and including cricket within that.
Yeah, I think it. Ed Smith, the former England cricketer, actually said that English cricket at its best celebrates the country. It not only reflects but sometimes inspires.
Mm.
And although it may not have inspired Andy or myself very much at the weekend, that's kind of as good a way of any as trying to explain what the book is about. I've inherited a big love of both cricket and history, and put the two things together here. Anyone that read the last book would know that period of the 70s and 80s is a fascinating one for me, and I think we're all products of the years that formed us, and that was us.
Yeah. So I was going to say, what was it about 81? We know Headingley 81. Yeah. That's the headline. If you're a sports fan, you know that, Botham's Ashes, as you say. But then you draw parallels with Margaret Thatcher, and then you bring, say, the music of the era and the riots and everything else that was going on.
It was something that evolved really as I researched and wrote the book. That 1981 was a phenomenal transformational year in the history of the country, and a lot of people would think that what happened to the country under Thatcher was really kicked in by the Falklands victory, then the landslide the following year. My contention is that was really the icing on the cake, and 81 was when things started turning around for both her and for Ian Botham.
Yeah,
but the juxtapositions in that year, from everything from in January, Peter Sutcliffe as the Yorkshire Ripper being arrested in the same time as we were mourning John Lennon. You had inner city riots versus communal street parties of the royal wedding, and all of this stuff happened. July 1981 was the absolute epicenter of this, and as a month, day by day, there were just things happening, and both Thatcher and Botham, basically at the start of July 81, were at what Big Alan would call the deepest depth.
Deepest depth,
and from there, they managed to turn it around.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you've got a picture in here of Botham trudging off at Lord's, and that's something that, people do remember, but it kind of gets lost in the fact that, after that, it was also heroic, but actually he lost the captaincy, and he describes it as one of the worst moments of his life.
Well, there was another serendipity in the way that things like the weather and the music and the culture of the time absolutely shadowed the sport that was going on. And so on the 7th of July was the last day of the Lord's Test, where Beefy was forced to resign and had to walk up the Lord's steps to absolute silence. 2 days later, I discovered that Top of the Pops were celebrating their 900th edition, and they had, of all people, David Jacobs on there hosting it.
Right.
And
no relation.
No relation, mate.
And a video of Ghost Town by the Specials, which had just hit the top of the charts, came back to David Jacobs, who finished with, "Oh, well, that wasn't very cheery, was it?" and in a sense, that could have summed up both exactly what Peter West might have said at the end of the highlights of Lord's 2 days before, but also the way the country was in the first half of July. And then you had this incredible transformation around the royal wedding, the Edgbaston Test, the sun coming out.
Yeah.
It
must have been a sort of... So you kind of started with this premise, but then it would have taken all that research then to sort of start to draw those parallels, and then... So the picture got bigger, I suppose, as you did more research on the year.
Yeah, it did. And that's really where the sort of synergies between Thatcher and Botham came into it. I didn't see that being a large part of the narrative, but although 81 and the transformations are the epicenter, the more I looked into it, the corollaries of their careers, their beliefs, the timings of the highs and lows were incredible. And of course, Beefy was alongside maybe Steve Davis, who was also made his major breakthrough that year. Almost the ultimate Thatcherite sportsman.
Yeah.
And although their characters were obviously their personalities were different, and I think I make a point in the book that both were into nocturnal activities, but whilst Margaret was doing red boxes and what have you,
she'd get 4 hours kip a night, but for a different reason.
Exactly. So she was doing red boxes, he was doing red wine.
Yeah, of course. Wow, I mean, it was. I take it. Did you go back and re-watch all those 81 tests?
Well, I tend to re-watch them once a month anyway. But I'm that sort of cricket nerd. But so a lot of that was already in the locker. But I did spend a lot of time. The previous book I did was very much based around interviews. This wasn't really an interview book. And I spent a lot of time in the British Library, in the reading room of the British Library, which I would recommend to anybody who's as nostalgic a sad person as I am. What an incredible place to be able to go in and revisit. I thought it was important to revisit what was being said at the time of the ups and downs. But it was fascinating to write. I hope it's fascinating to read, but we'll find out.
Well, it'd be interesting because if you weren't there and you didn't live through it, it's a piece of history. If you did, I think it's interesting to see it all pulled together. So it's out. It's published by Pitch.
Yes, indeed.
Something changed. Beefy Bodicea, Brixton Bunting and How Cricket Helped Change the Nation by Ben Dobson. Out in hardback now. Good to see you again, Ben. Thanks very much for coming in.
Fantastic. Thanks, guys.
We're going to check in with Lisa O'Sullivan and see what's happening at Wimbledon. Lisa.
Yeah, Laura Siegemund has got things back on serve in this second set, and there really is frustration. Arina Sabalenka, hand on hip, not happy with the way things are going because she's dropped a set for the first time in this tournament. 6-4 to the German in the first set. And as I say, back on serve. Siegemund serving now 1-2 in the second.
We're going to look at some of the big transfer stories of the day with Alex Crook very shortly. Jamie Jackson from The Guardian joins us. Manchester United's players returned to training yesterday, but they have said no to Amazon for all or nothing. It seems Amorim wasn't keen to have the cameras in. And maybe one more season with his feet under the table. 10 million quid they've said no to, but I can understand his reasoning. The Guardian's man in Manchester, Jamie Jackson. And Troy Deeney.
They can say that by getting rid of paper clips in the office.
They probably could. Will be joining us. He's over at the Club World Cup. Chelsea in action tonight against Fluminense, and Troy is off to the match, and he'll be previewing that with us in the next hour.
With Victor Gyökeres likely heading to Arsenal, what next for Manchester United's search for a striker? Rio Ferdinand told talkSPORT who he wants in.
I'd be disappointed to miss out on Gyökeres if we don't get a number 9 in. But if we got Osimhen, then I wouldn't be too concerned.
So Victor Osimhen to Man United. Well, our chief football correspondent, Alex Crook, reckons it looks unlikely.
Now that Galatasaray are really trying to push this deal, Napoli have turned down their initial offer, but he's already agreed personal terms. I think his game would translate very well to the Premier League. I'm surprised there's not more Premier League interest, really. Maybe it's his reputation character-wise. Maybe it's that he commands big wages.
Newcastle have agreed a £55 million deal to sign Forest winger Anthony Elanga. Ruben Amorim's side benefit from that too, receiving a 20% sell-on fee. This could help the club finally bag Brahim Mbeumo. Here's talkSPORT's Ben Jacobs.
The good news for Manchester United fans is that the valuation between the clubs is not far off. Manchester United's last bid was 55 million guaranteed, 7.5 million in add-ons. Those add-ons, to my understanding, were not gettable enough in the eyes of Brentford.
You can grab all the latest transfer news at talksport.com. Tennis now, and Jannik Sinner said he couldn't accept progress to the Wimbledon quarter-finals as a win after Grigor Dimitrov was forced to retire whilst 2 sets up. The Bulgarian fell to the ground saying, my peck, and was reduced to tears before throwing in the towel. Brit Dan Evans told talkSPORT it's a massive loss.
It's the 5th Grand Slam in a row Grigor's had to withdraw from or retire from, I think. Yeah, it's terrible, really, especially, I mean, I know it doesn't make much of a difference, but he was playing such good tennis and he'll take no solace from that. But yeah, it's tough to watch.
And Chelsea could make the final of the Club World Cup tonight with victory against Brazilian side Fluminense. Tickets for the game are going for less than a tenner, a massive drop from almost 350 quid earlier this week. But travelling fans for the PSG and Real Madrid semi-final are paying almost £150. There's more on this at talksport.com.
Good afternoon, Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. You've gone nuts with your towel footballers. Absolutely crazy. That's because we're speaking to the people who supply the towels to
Wimbledon.
Wimbledon, that's right. I couldn't think of the word. Chamois Amiobi, says Sam in St Neots. Again, you're not drying yourself with a chamois, are you? That would be a bit weird, yeah.
That's one with serviette.
Serviette. Jim in Caterham says, surely the towel team would be managed by the late Brian Clough. Yeah, I can see that.
Very much.
Ricky Towler, of course, would soak up the pressure. Not a footballer. Rubes, unfortunately. Towel-based footballers. Damien Fluff. Yeah, Ben, this Blues fan. What else have we got here? Shammy Lee. Again, chamois. Rich from Chorleywood. No more chamois.
Otherwise, I'm doing Graham Towling, the former New Zealand cricketer.
No, nice. Eric Dreyer says John.
That's quite good.
Wet Ormerod, says Owen in Croydon.
That's ridiculous.
Chamois Hippie. Too many chamois, says Stu, the Spurs fan. What else have we got?
Come on, we're keeping Crookie
I'm sorry,
waiting.
yeah. No, yes, now we've got a bit of breaking news from the world of golf. There's a big cheating scandal, I understand, at the moment. Maybe let's cross there now. Alex Crook, I think, is on hand at the event. Alex, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, boys.
We understand that one of the players at this golf event you're in was in the lead, but he's been bumped down to third because of a bit of skullduggery. Can you name and shame the person involved?
I'd have to name and shame myself. Yeah, there was a par 3. I was in two minds about what club to hit. And, I tried a 6-iron, didn't get off the tee box. I said, come on, we're not going to count that. Tried my usual club, ended up with a 4, and, won with 36 points. But one of my good friends flagged up I'd basically taken 3 off the tee, and I ended up getting demoted to 3rd place.
Like Donald Trump. A terrible golf cheat. That's really bad.
Also, not good to dob you in.
Yeah.
For a friend. That's
So
poor, really.
some kind of friend. You want to name and shame them?
Words have been had.
Okay.
Oh, I see. Okay. Brilliant.
So, let's start with a manager conversation. Leicester City, obviously they said cheerio to Ruud van Nistelrooy. What's the latest there?
Well, the latest is that Chris Wilder is certainly someone that Leicester have spoken to in recent days. Gary O'Neill, my understanding is that he is due to hold talks with the Leicester hierarchy this week. Wilder, having left Sheffield United in the wake of that Championship playoff final defeat against Sunderland, and Gary O'Neill, of course, parted company with Wolves halfway through last season. I think Danny Roll, if he was available, would be a contender, but he's still negotiating a payoff from Sheffield Wednesday. And I think we're getting to the point in proceedings now where Leicester can't really afford to wait, can they? Because they took a long time to publicly announce Ruud van Nistelrooy's departure. That was partly due to the fact they wanted his payoff to start in July, so it was a separate PSR year. They hadn't really been actively seeking a replacement all the time. He was still in situ. They had a friendly at the weekend, Leicester. And, of course, the Championship season is not very far away. But two very different profiles, I think, Chris Wilder and Gary O'Neill. Wilder, obviously, tried and tested in the Championship, plays a very particular brand of football. Gary O'Neill may be seen as more of a modern coach. So in some ways, I think that shows the state of flux that Leicester are in, that they're not necessarily decided on exactly what type of manager they want to replace Van Nistelrooy. I know the fans are getting very agitated and frustrated about a lack of communication from the hierarchy.
Now, just before they announced the Club World Cup squad, there was a lot of talk about Jack Grealish, as he wasn't included. It's got a bit quiet since, but there's a few stories today suggesting Tottenham, Newcastle, Napoli among the clubs keeping an eye on it, and they're saying City want 40 million for him.
Yeah, that doesn't come as a total surprise, because I was told a few weeks ago, even before the season had finished, that City ideally didn't want to loan Jack Grealish. I think if he was to leave the football club, they favour a permanent deal to get him off the payroll. Clearly, nobody is going to pay back the £100 million that they paid to activate his Aston Villa release clause. So I think the price is going to have to come down. He's on big wages as well, Jack Grealish, in excess of £250,000 a week. There aren't that many clubs in the Premier League who would be willing to pay that, and certainly you mentioned Napoli there, that would smash their pay structure. So I think there's going to need to be a little bit of negotiating to be done. Personally, I still think it'd be better for Jack Grealish to go and play abroad, get a complete change of scenery. I can understand why Newcastle would fancy him, and Tottenham to a lesser extent as well. But as I say, I just think he might benefit from doing what Scott McTominay and Billy Gilmour did, go over to Napoli, win the league, and hopefully for him force his way into England's World Cup squad, because probably his best game in recent memory was when Lee Carsley was in charge and he played in that number 10 position against the Republic of Ireland, and he did really well. But at the moment, if you're naming your 26-man England squad here and now for next summer, there's an argument Jack Grealish maybe isn't in it.
Yeah.
The interesting thing with these players, though, is the book value. Although he cost 100 million, he won't be in their books at 100 million now after a few seasons. So, that's probably about what he's, would go.
Well, he's 29. That's the thing as well. That has a bearing on it. Now, the Elanga deal. I mean, from a Forest point of view, I imagine this is quite painful. Really. I mean, look, they've turned a tidy profit on him, and Manchester United will see a bit of that money as well. I wondered what you made of it.
Well, the irony is that by Newcastle paying this money for Elanga, and Forest sources are adamant it's £55 million plus add-ons to take it to a £60 million deal in total. As often happens here, Newcastle are briefing it's slightly less than that. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. But Manchester United have a 20% sell-on clause, so they get £8 million. That might just help them get the Bryan Mbeumo deal over the line. Of course, Mbeumo himself was a player who Newcastle were keen on earlier in the window before he told them that he was going to Old Trafford. I think it's good money for Anthony Elanga. He's a decent age. I think he's a player who's going to go and do really well playing under Eddie Howe. But for Forest, it's a huge profit. I guess the question is, what do they do about replacing him? Because they've got European football next season. And I think it's going to be difficult for Forest to emulate in the Premier League what they did this year, particularly when you think clubs surely like Manchester United and Tottenham can't possibly be as bad as they were this season.
They've got a couple of good Brazilians coming in, though, to be fair.
Yeah.
It's interesting with Newcastle because they've got Jacob Murphy, they've got Anthony Gordon, they've got Harvey Barnes, and now they've got Elanga. Would they really want Grealish? I'm not sure they need him, do they?
No, that is interesting. Yeah. They think they can get Gay as well, Newcastle. What's the latest with him?
Yeah, I'm not hearing too much on that front. I've got to say, obviously, there was talk of Liverpool a couple of weeks ago, and I think there's a fear that Canate won't agree a new contract. So they certainly need a centre half this time next year. But I think Mark Gay is quite relaxed about the situation. He knows he's got European football, hopefully, to come with Palace. We're still waiting for UEFA to ratify their participation in the Europa League. He's going to be playing week in, week out. I think if he's fit, he's going to go to the World Cup and may well be seen as England's best defender, certainly in the centre-back area. So I think he's almost guaranteed a starting place if he is fit. He might just take his chance as a free agent at the end of the season and have his pick of clubs. Newcastle, we know, were very keen this time last year. I'm not convinced they're quite as keen a year later.
Palace want the Chelsea youngster Josh Achimpong.
Yeah.
He's a brilliant
Would that be on
prospect.
loan?
On loan, yeah. The Chelsea would never
Where does he
sell
play,
him.
Andy?
Right back and centre back. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, so he could play in a 3, which is obviously what they like to the right side
Absolutely.
of a 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that'll be interesting. We'll keep an eye on that. Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I mean, they say he's been chatting to Newcastle, and Eddie Howe's a fan, so I'm sure if you go and meet Eddie Howe and he starts talking about where he sees you playing and how he sees you playing.
It's that caveat with him, isn't it? We all know what it is.
I don't know what the nature of the deal would be, because I think it's going to be a pay-as-you-play. It's not quite that bad an injury record, but it's pretty bad, isn't it, Crookie?
Yeah, and I think his wage demand is still quite high. He held talks with Leeds United a week or so ago, and they decided that they couldn't meet his demands. He is tried and tested in the Premier League. Number 9's are thin on the ground this summer, as I think a lot of clubs are finding out. As you mentioned, Eddie Howe, certainly a long-term admirer of Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He came very close to signing him a couple of summers ago. And again, when we were at the Euros last summer, when Everton were trying to sell players to stay on the right side of PSR, a deal was close. So it wouldn't shock me if he ended up at St James's Park. Callum Wilson has obviously decided not to take up the offer of a pay-as-you-play deal, and they do need a backup to Alexander Isak, because as good as he is, he himself picks up injuries. I think Calvert-Lewin, if he can stay fit on a free transfer, I think he's a good pickup for someone this summer.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And Leeds looking to do a bit of business, bit of Premier League experience. Sean Longstaff, apparently, they're trying to land at the moment.
Yeah, this would be a good signing, I think. Obviously different to what Sunderland are doing, bringing in a lot of overseas players, albeit spending quite a few quid in the process. So good luck to them, because I think we want those teams coming up from the Championship to be a lot more competitive than they have been in the past couple of seasons. I think there's a little bit of reluctance on Newcastle's part to let Longstaff go. Eddie Howe doesn't really like letting anybody go because he likes a deep squad, but I think they realise that he wants to go out and play regularly. He's obviously not going to get into that midfield that was a real central point of Newcastle's success last season. £12 million with add-ons is the fee. I think that's decent money for Newcastle, and they can reinvest it. And I think Longstaff will be a guaranteed starter at Leeds, and again brings that little bit of Premier League experience that Burnley have got with Kyle Walker as well.
Well, we'll let you go, Crookie. We know you've got that disciplinary meeting with the RNA, so good luck with that. Hope you don't lose your tour card.
I might need it. Cheers, guys.
Thanks very much. There's Alex Crook there, fresh from the course. And, all lots and lots of updates. talkSPORT.com. We've got a live ticker going there of all the breaking transfer news and Crookie's transfer notebook, of course. This evening we've got Fluminense Chelsea. We normally have our transfer show, but we've got live football tonight, Club World Cup. And Troy Deeney, who's over in the States working at the event, he will be joining us to look ahead to the game this evening. And then you can get your calls in to the Sports Bar straight afterwards. Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundy. I take it Jason will be there and reacting to Chelsea's performance. Now you've got to this stage, as you were saying, you're invested, aren't you?
We are a little bit, yeah.
You want to see them win it now?
Well, they're not going to win it. Well, come on. Can you? On what planet can you see Chelsea beating PSG?
Well, in a one-off game, they've got a deep squad. It's got even deeper since the tournament started with João Pedro.
Well, we'll see. But first they've got to get there, which would be a great achievement. There's no question about that. And financially, it's a great achievement to get there. So tonight's a big game from that point of view. But it'll be interesting. Chelsea got the youngest squad in the tournament, and Fluminense got the oldest squad,
including your old centre half. Yeah, it's live. All the build up from 7 o'clock tomorrow. We're going to bring you the Lionesses, that crunch game against the Netherlands. No drive tomorrow. It's a 5 o'clock kickoff, so we'll build up to that, bring you commentary. And then we will have the other semi-final, PSG Real Madrid, 8 o'clock, live on talkSPORT.
That's going to be a cracker.
Yeah, with Wales against France in Euro 25 over on talkSPORT too. So, it might be the off-season, but blimey, we've got plenty of live football for you. join Nigel Adderley.
There's no such thing as the off-season.
There is no
It's a bit like National Hunt Race.
Well, like the Champions League qualifying has started today. So the new season has started while the Club World Cup. I mean, honestly.
It's brilliant, isn't it?
Nigel Adderley and Scott Minto, your commentary team tonight for that one on talkSPORT. We're here with Toolstation. Get fast-track delivery in as little as 30 minutes on the Toolstation app. Next stop, Toolstation. We're talking to the people that supplies the towels, the much pilfered towels at Wimbledon very shortly.
He plays that villain role very well now. That's crying out for a little bit more attention. It comes with a lot of crazy people. I took it personally. A lot of crazy people. I took it personally and it kind of made me rebel a bit more. To be honest, I don't really care anymore. I'm never going to change. Let's check in at Wimbledon now with Lisa O'Sullivan.
Well, there's been a lot of noise from Aria Sabalenka because she's managed to turn things around. A bit of relief, I think. She's taken charge of this second set and is now playing the match on her terms. Laura Siegemund of Germany taking the first set 6-4. She's coming out to serve 3-5 in this second set. So the German looking to serve to stay in the second set.
Thanks very much, Lisa. Now, staying with tennis, the latest episode of Wimbledon Unfiltered with Nick Kyrgios is now available on the talkSPORT YouTube channel. Yesterday, Nick unleashed one of his trademark rants, this time aimed at the costly errors caused by automatic line calling at this year's competition.
It's just amateur, in my opinion, and I just don't think it's good enough. And the umpire to just say, it was a malfunction, I turned it off, it's just not good enough. And I knew something like this was going to happen, but this also raises the questions, has it always been working? Has there been other times in other matches or Grand Slam finals, or have I been a part of matches where, the Hawkeye hasn't been working? So it is going to raise a lot of eyebrows for the rest of the tournament. And this is why I thought Wimbledon should just keep the traditions of having line umpires, having challenges, keeping the rich tennis traditions that it's always had. But maybe they did rush it. Maybe they wanted to be like every other tournament, but again, 148 years with line umpires. Maybe they should have waited for the 150 big anniversary to do it.
I'm going to push you on this as well, Nick, because if that had been you, right, and you're playing...
the rackets would have gone over the fence.
But not just that as well. Would you have felt in a position where you have to challenge that legally, for instance? Because there's a lot of money at stake, but also your ratings, all of that's affected, right?
Well, I mean, the ratings would have gone up because I would have had an absolute worldwide dummy spat.
There we are.
But he likes the towels. He may not like the tech, but he loves the towels.
He certainly does love the towels. For your daily roundup of each day of Wimbledon, tune in to Wimbledon Unfiltered with Nick Kyrgios and Gordon Smart and some very special guests available each weeknight from 9:30pm on YouTube and CTV. Beautiful segue there from Andy, because we discovered earlier this week that 500 of the £40 towels are not returned, euphemistically was the phrase used by Wimbledon, by players last week. 500 towels went missing last week.
Per day?
Per day, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Which
is music to the ears of our next guest, because she's involved in the manufacture and design of them all. From Christie up in Stockport is their design and sourcing director, Claire Hester. Hi, Claire.
Hello, hi, nice to speak to you.
It must be great in some ways that your product is so coveted, so it ends up being pilfered on such a regular basis. We hear that Novak Djokovic said he brings an entire suitcase just for the towels so he can take them home.
Yeah, I mean it's fantastic for us. We obviously the more exposure the towel gets, the better for us, and it's become very much the fabric of Wimbledon. And it's not news to us that the towels aren't returned and that they are pilfered by players, but it's because they're loved and obviously great advertising for us. But I mean we actually gift sort of over 7,000 towels for players for the tournament, and over the 2 weeks we actually sell up to 45,000 towels. So
you give Wimbledon the towels. I didn't realise that. I thought they would have bought them off you.
No, they buy them and then they gift them to the players.
I think that's incredibly generous of you.
That's no way to run a business.
No, we wouldn't. No. They buy them for us, but we factor in that they are gifted, so to speak, to the players.
So this is obviously procedure. This is 1988 that Christie got the contract. I imagine it's quite a coveted contract, isn't it? Simply because the towels are pretty iconic, and as you say, you sell lots every year, even putting aside the ones
that it's casual tennis players. It's a really nice thing to have, or anybody doing sport.
Yeah, I mean it's a great souvenir, and it's a brilliant takeaway, and we've been making it since 1987. It was actually the year Pat Cash won Wimbledon, so he made quite a storm, jumping into the crowd and going to celebrate. He was the sort of the bad boy at the time of tennis. But we started off just with one towel, and then it's evolved into this thing. We started doing a men's and women's towel. In the last 5 years, we've made it unisex. So we do a classic towel, and then we also do a fun coloured towel every year.
Yeah. Because they are the classic Wimbledon colours, aren't they?
So what sells more in the Wimbledon shop? Is it the classic, or do people also pick up, let's say, it's aqua and blue? It's a bit like doing a new shirt for a football team, isn't it? I take it you have to run it past the All England club and make sure they're happy with it?
Yeah. The process it takes a year in development, so 6 months to manufacture and a good 6 months in design and development.
Wow.
So we come up with lots of concepts and designs, and we work very collaboratively. But you never know how many you're going to sell, and we predict each year what's the ratio, but 60-40 usually to the classic. But this year we've had loads of exposure with this bright aqua, so who knows? We'll know by Friday on what the final sell-through is. But we've sold out. So you can get a few in Harrods and John Lewis, and that's about the only places you can now get it.
Do they ever? I mean, have you ever put quite racy designs in? They've said, "Oh, you're gonna have to turn that down to 9. It's a bit too much for us."
Last year we did this towel here, which is the 2024 towel, and we changed the direction from being horizontal to vertical, and customers didn't love it as much as the horizontal classic stripes. So we've got this So Last Season collection this year, where we've made fashion items out of the surplus stock that we had. So nothing goes to waste. Everything is reused or repurposed, and
Are they flannels? I'm trying to think what you've. It looks like some sort of bathrobe that you've made out of the old ones. Is that right?
We've made a bathrobe, and we've made a tote bag.
Right.
We've got fashion clutches, all sorts of different things. So you'll see people spotted around, and we've got lots of coverage on Instagram. So we have a bit of fun doing a fashion collection with anything we have wasted.
It'd be handy if it rained. You could dry yourself with your own tote bag, couldn't you? If your hair got wet.
Marvellous.
You could. Yeah. Well, I mean, we've got players that say that they dry their dogs with them. Sabalenka shields her emotions on court with it.
Yeah.
That's quite common, putting the towel over their head like that. What about you yourself at home? Have you pilfered a few?
Oh, she doesn't need to. She works there. You must get a free towel.
Oh, you probably get a toweling allowance.
I think everyone's a bit obsessed in our office about the towel and how many times it's been spotted. But we're delighted that everybody's using it this year. Sometimes the players use a white towel of their own, and this year they obviously love the towel because they're all using it. So
brilliant. Good stuff.
A lot of them saying one of the players said, "I take them home to Miami where it's very hot. I need the towels." But as I said, most of them seem to be souvenirs for family. That seems to be why they're looking to take a few.
And I think what triggered all this publicity this season is the fact that Iga Swiatek basically was caught stealing them, wasn't she, on court? Not stealing them,
Yeah, that's right. Not returning one or two.
Yeah,
borrowing.
I think she's just, she echoes really what all the players say. They take them as a souvenir, and they love to give them as gifts. And I guess it's a great momentum. It's part of the experience. And for some players that are only in the first round, it's a takeaway. We actually did an interview with 3 legends this year: Pat Cash, Joanna Conte, and Gordon Reid, and they all talked about what the towel meant for them. And very much it's like strawberries and cream. It's as significant as the green grass and the white clothes that you have to wear at Wimbledon is the towel.
Is there? I take it finally there is some sort of eBay market for classic vintage ones, is there? I mean, are they not?
Yes, there is, and we try to bid on as many as we can, really, to keep the archive going. But
what's the oldest one you've got that you can still dry yourself with? I mean,
if I'm allowed to. I mean, they're all sort of boxed up and kept in cabinets. So, but yes, I mean, they love this toweling. So we've been producing toweling for, we invented the Terry towel, Henry Christie, back in 175 years ago. So, I'm not allowed to touch the archive, but I'm assured that it will still be absorbent if it was removed from its box.
Lovely to talk to you, Claire. Thanks very much.
Good stuff.
Thanks so much. Bye.
Claire Hester there, design and sourcing director at Christie's, the people that supply the towels that are constantly half-inched by the players. You want one?
Yeah, she's tempted me.
You'll have to get down to John Lewis or Wimbledon or
Harrods.
I'm sure they'll sort you out. I mean, you've been blowing your nose all afternoon. You're not going to blow your nose on your towel. That's a terrible thing to do. It's not stopped you coming up with towel footballs, has it? Of course. Including João Flanello, says Pete Kenny.
That's right.
Towel Jimenez. Andy Townsend. I don't know if he was in earlier on, of course, wasn't he? Yes. Herman Handryerson. Not a towel, Billy, is it?
Not really, no.
James Beattie Towel. Does that work? Beattie Towel?
Not really.
No, it doesn't. I can't get my head around that. Raymond van der Towel, says Matt.
Van der Gaal.
Raymond van der Towel. I'm with that one. Yeah. Pat yourself dry, Bamford, says John, working at Deb's Ironing.
Oh, blimey.
Stick to the birthday spread, John.
Spread, yeah, definitely.
James Talkowski says Gav from Nottingham. I think
I'm tempted to make a pilgrimage to Deb's Ironing Shop.
Really? We should do a show from there one day.
Definitely.
What about Ronnie Rosenthal? Oh, well done, Andy.
That's good.
Andy the Toon fan in Wigan, I think you. Dryas for sale, says Charlie in Erdington. David, the former Spurs and Southampton midfielder David Towles, says Ant the Spurs fan.
Not bad.
J Cloth Rodriguez, we having that. Nick from. You dry yourself with a J Cloth. Times are tough in Bristol, Nick, aren't they? Egyptian Tony Cotty says Rich from Swindon.
It's quite clever, that.
And I think we may well call it a day at that point.
I think we should.
So thanks for all of those. I did mention, why did we talk about Daniel Day-Lewis earlier on? I can't quite remember.
It was, I can't remember either. My left foot? No,
what was the one we talked about it before? The producer can remember. He's been listening for some reason. The other previous producers never have. They just sit there and watch Neighbours most of the day. So anyway, I did use the phrase. He said, I've been listening to your show for a long time, says Glenn the Brighton fan, but I never thought I'd heard the phrase artisan cobbling on talkSPORT. I checked it out. Daniel Day-Lewis did go and work in Italy. He actually went and lived and worked and did a bit of artisan cobbling with some Italian cobbler. So he's not working in Timpson's in Wandsworth High Road or anything. So anyway, there we are. We're going to talk Manchester United next, who said no to Amazon. They said nothing to All or Nothing. And we'll look at some of the reasons why. Talk Manchester United, get a bit of a state of play chat with Jamie Jackson, the Guardian's man, there in a few moments' time.
Newcastle have bagged their first summer signing. Please welcome Anthony Elanga from Nottingham Forest.
Newcastle delighted to get this over the line because they were struggling for those right-sided players. We know they looked at Antoine Semenyo. The fee in total is £55 million, 52 million guaranteed, plus 3 million in add-ons.
Our transfer reporter Ben Jacobs speaking there. Well, Manchester United will receive a 20% sell-on clause with that. We're hearing Elanga will be going to St James's Park to undergo a medical in the next 48 hours. For all the latest transfer news, head to talkSPORT.com. To SW19 now, and Yannick Sinner survived a huge scare at Wimbledon after his opponent Grigor Dimitrov was forced to retire whilst 2 sets up. The Bulgarian collapsed to the floor in pain after hitting a volley, clutching his pectoral muscle. While he seemed to laugh about it at first to the world number one, Dimitrov was soon brought to tears, realising he'd have to retire from a 5th successive Grand Slam. Sinner says it's a horrible way for play to end.
You know, seeing him in this position, it's honestly, you know, if there would be a chance, you know, that he could play, you know, the next round, you know, he would deserve.
And Chelsea can reach the final of the Club World Cup tonight with a victory against Brazilian side Fluminense. The teams meet at the MetLife Stadium, but Enzo Maresca will be without Liam Delap and Levi Colwell, who are suspended. More on this on our website at talksport.com.
Takes it. It's glory, glory, Tottenham Hotspur. The Europa League is theirs.
He's now lost more games than he's won as Manchester United boss. He inherited a big problem and he hasn't as yet been able to wave a magic wand.
Clean decks. Get this football club. It needs an enema. This football club, you know, and get it sorted out.
Not the players individually. I mean, no one's going to want to come back to train
enemas.
Hey! Yeah, of course, the last time they kicked the ball in anger was that defeat the Spurs in Bilbao. We saw pictures of the players coming back. Most of the same players.
That's what I thought. That's what struck me. I thought, these are the same players. Yeah. Why is it going to be any different?
You can't clear out an entire squad in a month, Andy, can you? You do feel, and we should get Jamie in and get his view on this, but we do feel that, you know, they have to make a really strong start, because if they don't, you know, all the noise around them will be so massive. I'm not saying they won't do it, but they really do need, I'd say, win 3 out of their first 5 games at least. No pressure. Jamie Jackson, the Guardian's man in Manchester, joins us. Hi, Jamie.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Can't really argue with that. I think Andy's right. They do need to make a strong start after the way things went last season.
Yeah, I mean, last season really was a disaster. Arguably, you know, the worst season for a long time, since he got relegated, basically, really. There won't be any European football, which is something which I'm not too sure fans will be able to get their head around at first. And yeah, what Andy says there about a strong start. I mean, he's now had, or he will have had, sorry, this summer transfer window we're in, plus January is this Ruben Amorim, and you know, you finish sort of where they did under him, basically for 3/4 of the season. You know, if he doesn't, you know, noise is the correct word. That is Manchester United noise, soap opera, roller coaster. You know, it's sort of everyone's favourite viewing. Even if you're not a football fan, I think you sort of tune in when Manchester United is mentioned, because it's sort of, you know, it is a sort of national institution. So yeah, I mean, and Andy's saying there, you're right, Andy, about the same players. I mean, this is the big problem we've got now. At some point, this moment we're in has to happen where they clear out, you know, a big majority of players. So maybe, as I like to be glass half full, this is the darkest point before the dawn, because at the moment it's not looking great, is it, with regard to, they brought one player in and they've got these sort of 4 or 5 players, Garnacho, Rashford, etc. They need to get rid of, which obviously lowers the price. But as I say, there has to be a moment when, these things start to move forward. So if you're a fan of Manchester United and, Ruben Amorim and everyone there, you'd like to think this is going to, I don't know if you can tell by my tone of voice, I'm slightly cautious here because we've been round this block so many times, basically every summer, right, since Ferguson left. I mean, what is it now, 13, 14 years?
Yeah.
So hopefully this is it now.
It's very hard to clear out a lot of players for the reasons you just touched on. I mean, Onana's an example of someone they probably would let go, but they want 30 million quid because they paid a lot for him, and apparently Monaco balked at that. And so he's probably going to stay there. I don't know how that makes the player feel. You're our number one, Andre. Oh, by the way, simply because they couldn't flog it.
I think the bigger problem is, and we see this in sport, we've seen it with Ange, we've seen it with Bazball, and we've seen it with Amorim. Any coach or team that goes, this is what we do, is a big problem to me. You've got to have some flexibility. Even Pep has flexibility. You've got to be able to change your tactics. And that's where I think Amorim's gone wrong. He's got to look at the squad he's got and come up with a system that suits the squad he's got, rather than trying to do it the other way around.
As he hones it and gets players in his own image, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I mean, how about opening press conference or whatever? He just sort of sits there and basically says what you just said, Andy. I'm going to be more flexible. I've looked back at what went wrong last season, and I understand the need to sort of be able to switch to a 4, or, whenever he's asked this question, because I've asked it a few times, he always says, well, we are actually flexible. If you watch the games, we move around within games, but it just seems, he also says continually, this is my idea, this is what I believe in. And also, the players that, if you play a left wing back, surely in essence it's the same as a left back. You're supposed to defend and get up and down the pitch, right? Whether you're a left back or Andy Robertson, for example, right? He was a left back who attacked. He's a left back who attacks. So I don't quite understand this thing where elite players can't be a little bit fluid between what are similar positions. You can only have a left wing back or you can only have a left back. I don't agree with that. Why are they at Manchester United? And so, yeah, let's wait and see. But for me, if you're not able to be flexible as a head coach, what are you doing at Manchester United? What are you doing at Spurs? What are you doing at any club, really? Because, you're a coach or player. So as you just sort of said, Paul, it's about who you've got. Right, okay, this afternoon, gentlemen, we're going to play this way. And maybe next Wednesday, we'll play a different way. And that's just part of football.
They've also said no to Amazon Prime. I mean, Spurs, City and Arsenal did it, took us behind the scenes. It seems Amorim, when he was asked earlier in the summer, wasn't keen. It was over £10 million and...
I don't blame him.
No, I don't. I think
he's made the right
he
decision.
deserves another season without that going on. Yeah. I think a full season that would have been pretty tough.
And it's a great way for stuff to leak out if you're doing a documentary as well. So that doesn't help.
Yeah, I mean, you could just sort of see it being a bit of a behind the scenes, because I get that they would have probably had final say over what the final cut, but at the same time, Amazon would want value for their money. So yeah, I mean, he's been backed on this one. All I would say is I don't think he's in a particularly strong position. So going back to what you said, Andy, if they have a weak or a very poor start, someone like Sir Jim Ratcliffe's thinking, well, we could have had 10, 15 million pounds if this guy had been brave. And I can sort of see it going that way, being part of the sort of case against Amorim, because they do need the money. I mean, I actually think 10 million is relative chicken feed for the access to get to the so-called great, and I'm inverting commas, great Manchester United. But again, it shows. I know we're doing a record fee, but again, it shows maybe how far they've fallen. But yeah, I mean, these are very. Part of the thing we're talking about here is the year-on-year decline, basically since Ferguson left, and we're now at this. I thought Ericsson got it right when he said we were lucky not to be relegated. I think there were a serious Bruno Fernandes injury away from going down. And let's wait and see what happens. Where we're now, 8th of July, but I could see that again being the scenario next season, unless they actually sort this out with regard to the transfers and they have a strong start. I mean, let's have this right. If he gets all the players in that he wants, Ruben Amorim, then really they should be challenging for a top 4. It's Manchester United. If not, why is he there? Yeah, what is the point in sort of having any head coach or manager there if that person, a bit like Ten Hag last season, is pleased with the players that they've acquired? So let's wait and see.
Jamie, good to talk to you as always. Thanks very much.
Cheers.
Jamie Jackson, they're the Guardian's man in Manchester.
The positive, finally, is that players still want to go there.
Yeah, of course they do. And Bremer wants to go there. Cunha would have had options. He wants to go there. The name is still huge and attracts players. You're right. That's not going to change in the short term, is it? Definitely. So, a little bit of breaking news from out Euro 2025. Abigail Davis will be joining us to tell us more about that. And we're going to be in New York to chat to Troy Deeney. We'll bring you Fluminense Chelsea tonight. And Troy's in New York, where the weather looks like it could be another unpredictable night. They're saying lightning.
It's looking like after an hour of the game, it's just storms for the next 5 hours.
Could be another marathon for our commentary team of Nigel Adderley and Scott Minto. But anyway, we'll chat to Troy shortly. We're going to head to Wimbledon momentarily now. I'm just looking at the producer. We're going to do that shortly as well. So we're here with our good friends at Toolstation. Get thousands of products delivered to you with Fast Track on the Toolstation app. Next stop, Toolstation.
He plays that villain role very well now. It's crying out for a little bit more attention. It comes with a lot of crazy people. I took it personally and it kind of made me rebel a bit more. To be honest, I don't really care anymore. I'm never going to change. Troy Deeney will be in New Jersey tonight for our commentary game, Fluminense versus Chelsea. We're going to cross to him shortly, but let's go to Wimbledon first. Lisa O'Sullivan.
time.
Taylor Fritz has booked his place in the Wimbledon semi-final with a 3-1 win over Karan Khachanov, and he was looking very much in control till that third set when the Russians stepped things up, took it to a tiebreak in the fourth, but Taylor Fritz is through. And here on centre court, they are very much backing Lara Siegemund of Germany because she's just broken Arina Sabalenka in the deciding set. She's coming out to serve 2-1 in the third.
Thanks, Lisa. There's a little bit of breaking news from the Welsh camp at Euro 2025. Abigail Davis joins us now from Switzerland. Hi, Abigail.
Hello, good afternoon.
We understand there was an accident with the team coach.
Yeah, some really unsettling news actually coming from the Wales press conference this afternoon. The media officer confirming that the Cymru national bus has been involved in a road traffic accident whilst travelling to the arena here in St Gallen for their matchday -1 training session ahead, of course, of tomorrow's match against France. And Harrod James and Rhian Wilkinson visibly shaken as they sat down for the press conference. The training session has now been cancelled. The Cymru manager, speaking about the matter, said that this is developing. We're trying to be as clear as possible. Everyone is okay, and the priority is getting everyone away from the scene at the moment. We'll be checking in to make sure everyone's okay. When we know more, we'll be letting everyone know, and that football is secondary right now. We're shaken because we're not with the squad. We're away from the team. I've been assured everyone is fine. We've been practicing for the unexpected, which is, of course, what this is. And just in the last few seconds, one of the media officers at the FAW has added, all passengers on the Cymru national team bus and in the other vehicle are unharmed. The FAW's priority has been to remove the players from the scene and return to the Cymru training base to complete their preparations for tomorrow's match. Of course, everyone unsettled at the moment. You could see the emotions very, very visible. Not the ideal preparation for tomorrow's game, but Rhian Wilkinson did confirm that UEFA and everyone around the scene has been doing their utmost to make sure that this situation is dealt with as best possible.
Thanks very much, Abigail. That's an update there from Abigail Davis over at the Euros. We hope everybody's okay. It certainly sounds like everybody's safe and well. So, but yes, as Abigail said, not great preparation for a big game tomorrow. Crunch game for them, of course, to stay in the tournament, taking on France. But this evening in the Club World Cup, Chelsea take on Fluminense in the first of the two semi-finals. Troy Deeney is out there, former Watford frontman, and he joins us now. Good afternoon, Troy.
Hello, gentlemen. How you doing?
Yeah, that's a nice hat you've got on there, Troy.
Very Englishman abroad there.
Yeah, is that a knotted handkerchief, yes, or is it an old sailors on the town hat?
No, it is definitely a handkerchief that we found in the hotel, and thank you to the hotel for providing it. They haven't realised I've stole it just yet, but it is so warm out here today, Jed, so I thought I would show the very British abroad look today while we're currently studying Bright Park.
Now, we've seen some weather-affected games. Andy's been checking out the weather forecast, and they're saying there could be some sort of thunder and lightning in the area, and we could see another interrupted game,
Troy.
Troy.
Delay.
Yeah, we keep hearing, but since we've been here since Sunday, apparently every day it's going to rain. I've packed accordingly, and it's not rained once. So it is a bit of a difficult one at the moment. So if you look at the weather forecast, it is due to rain until next week, Thursday. But it hasn't been like that at all. It's been really sunny, boiling hot, and hopefully we'll get us a clear game today. But it will be a case of the guys from both teams will have to rehydrate because it is seriously warm, gents.
Yeah, because New York, I was in New York in their hottest June day they'd had forever, and it's so humid when it's hot there, and that makes it difficult. 33 they reckon at the time of kickoff.
Yeah,
which probably plays in the hands of Fluminense, you would think.
Yeah, absolutely. And we had Kleberson on the show yesterday, obviously Brazilian legend, and he was telling us about how Fluminense will feel really confident going into this game. They go with an intent to go and try and win. They attack with power, but they've also got, as he said, a manager on the pitch in Thiago Silva who understands how to tweak the game for what it's needed and also control his team and say, right, in these moments we need to defend. It's going to be a real difficult game for Chelsea, and in my opinion, I think this is going to be the best of the two games of the semi-finals. Both teams will feel that they can win, and both teams should really go out and perform and to the level that they have for the whole of this competition.
I was impressed with Arias, the Fluminense sort of forward. He looks really decent.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously he scored the other night as well, didn't he? But I was again talking to Kleberson. Obviously, when you've got a legend like that from South America, it'd be remiss of us to not ask him about any of these players that are coming on. And with Evestevo, he said he feels like he's one of those players that could be the next Neymar. He said Chelsea are getting a wonderful player, but also somebody that has learnt his trade and got used to playing at a difficult standard with expectation. He said he'll need a little bit of experience and a little bit of help in terms of moving to England, but once he's settled, they've got, what he said, the next Neymar on their hands.
Oh yeah, terrific play. He looked great and he was man of the match.
Yeah.
But that brings it on to the fact that Chelsea have got the youngest team in the Club World Cup. Fluminense the eldest. Now that might play if the conditions are pretty hot. Well, it's a possibility.
Yeah, you'd like to think so. But again, gents, I've only been here since Sunday. We went for a run this morning, me and Joe, and let's just say it's hot. There's a lot of unnecessary sweat happening.
Yeah,
that's what I would say.
That is true.
Did you do that circuit in Central Park? Is that where you went, Troy?
That's on the cards for tomorrow, I believe. So if I don't make the show tomorrow for the hit, you know why.
Yeah.
Thiago Silva, you mentioned him there. And I watched him the other night. He's still brilliant. And it's that old story about yards in your head, isn't it? He really is a clever player.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously, look, Chelsea, as you guys know, are fantastic. The one area I'm concerned about for them is experience and is the centre-halves. I know we're going to talk about the goalies. I know we're going to talk about little areas that they could improve on. But they have two centre-halves in Chalobah and Colwell who are young, who are good, but as an ex-striker, you do feel they'll give you a chance. If they had Thiago Silva there, I just feel that these guys would learn so much more having him around, explaining the game. As you say, the extra yards in your head. He can talk you through the nuances of the game. But since they've lost him, he was the last person to win a Champions League, wasn't he, for Chelsea?
Yeah,
so I feel like he's an excellent player that's only shown throughout time just how good he is. What is he now, 41 years old? Still competing, still at that level. And I just think it was a bit of a mistake letting him go from Chelsea's point of view.
Cole was suspended tonight.
Oh, okay. João Pedro, your old teammate at Watford, he decent little cameo from him. There's some talk he could start tonight, Troy.
Well, yeah, it's a really interesting dynamic, isn't it? Because I think Nicholas Jackson kind of getting sent off in two key games now, obviously in the Club World Cup and then at Newcastle. It's kind of, with Chelsea players, drawn a line under the sand that I think fans are expecting João Pedro to start. I think if he does start, that signals the end for Nicholas Jackson. I think we all think it and feel it, but if João Pedro comes in and starts over him tonight, then he must be done and he has to be looking for other places to go and apply his trade. But for João, obviously a friend of mine, really happy that he's playing. I remember speaking to him as a young man when he came in at Watford, and his goal was to play for a World Cup for Brazil, to be the number 9, to be the R9 as he called it. So to be in a situation now where he's at a massive club like Chelsea, he's done his steps, he's done his hard yards, he has to now go and prove that he can do it week in, week out at a massive club, and this is an opportunity to do it tonight.
Excellent. Well, look, we'll go and get in the shade. Enjoy the game. Thanks very much, Troy.
Cheers, lads. See you soon.
Take it easy. There's Troy Deeney there over in New York. We'll be heading down to New Jersey for the game tonight. It's live on talkSPORT. All the build-up from 7. 8 o'clock kick-off. Nigel Adderley and Scott Minto are your commentary team. Enjoy the game, Andy.
Thank you, yeah.
Charlie will be here tomorrow. You're back Thursday for the spread. We'll have a busy show. We've got Lionesses to look forward to and Lions to reflect on, of course, tomorrow, amongst other things. So
do a gloating Tim Vickery tomorrow, Fluminense.
Well, you won't have to be here.
That's true.
To give him a load of clog and vice versa. So, yeah, do hope you can join us from 1. If not, as always, the podcast available at 4. If you didn't hear the start of the show, we had 2 fine cricketers on, didn't we? Chris Gayle was with us.
And
Amari Banks. So that was fun. So the podcast's available now wherever you get your podcasts. We'll see you tomorrow. Coming up next, Andy Goldstein and Darren Bentwood Drive.